Did you adopt Julian from ASAP Rescue on Penn Avenue in 2019? I know this is a long shot, but in the words of Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I've literally wanted to make this post for years and couldn't bring myself to do so until now. I'll explain the story behind my question. In April 2019, my mom and I were visiting Western Pennsylvania from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We booked a motel in Canonsburg as it was a nice halfway point between two places we'd be spending time. The only international trip I ever got to take with my late grandmother was to Wheeling Island in West Virginia, so my mom and I were going to go watch the Greyhound races. The primary reason for the trip was to see Cher perform at PPG Paints Arena, and to check another MLB stadium off our list. My mom was a huge Toronto Blue Jays fan, and she raised me to be one as well. About 12 hours after arriving in Canonsburg, my mom went into cardiac arrest and never woke up again. After she was stabilized at Canonsburg Hospital, she was transferred to West Penn Hospital, where she died in the ICU a few days later on Easter Sunday. While my mom was in the ICU, the staff asked me what I needed and I said, a dog. They didn't have emotional support animals who came to the hospital. The hospital made some calls to other local medical facilities and were unsuccessful. I went on Google and did my own research. The first animal shelter I called said they were too busy to accommodate me. I called ASAP Rescue inside Petland on Penn Avenue, which is a 10-minute drive from West Penn. I explained my situation, and they told me I could come over and spend as much time as I wanted. When I got to ASAP, they asked me which dog I wanted to hang with, and I said, I'm going to have to play God when I remove my mom from life support in a couple of days. I don't want to choose which of your dogs gets my love. They brought out Julian for me, who I believe was 5 months old at the time, and is half boxer, half pit bull. I spent about 4 hours with him on Good Friday 2019 and another couple of hours on Easter Monday 2019 while my mom was being cremated. I would have loved to adopt Julian, but it would have been too overwhelming with the pending loss of my mom. Not to mention, bringing a dog across the international border would have required some special paperwork. It's been 25 years since I got to hang with Julian during the worst week of my life. I never would have imagined that when I crossed the border into the US with my mom in the passenger seat, that a week later I'd be crossing back into Canada with the urn containing her ashes on the passenger seat, with the Blue Jays headed to the postseason. Sorry, Pirates fans. My grief is really strong again as I wish my mom was physically here to see it. I can hear her clapping and cheering, and truthfully I've felt her spirit with me the past couple of days. When I think about what brings my comfort when I'm feeling really emotional about my mom, I think about the time I got to spend with Julian. Julian would be almost 7 years old today. I have his picture hung up in my living room. I hope he was adopted to a good home and has had a good life. I live in Calgary now, so I'm not looking to visit him or FaceTime with him, but I do have a few questions. If you adopted Julian and are reading this, I'm curious to know if you changed his name, how big he got, if he's done okay, his temperament, and if he's given you the same love that he gave to me. I also want Julian's owner to know what he did for me. I still think about him often, and I'll never forget him. Whenever I talk about my mom passing away in Pittsburgh, I always show a picture of Julian because he's such an important part of the story. P.S. Many diehard baseball fans also cheer for a team in the other league. So, unsurprisingly, my National League team is the Pirates. I also root for the Steelers, and I'm not mad when the Penguins win even when it's against the Leafs or Flames. I regularly wear Pirates, Penguins, and Steelers merch. One of these days I'll buy a Panthers hoodie, PPS. I'm often asked if my mom made it to the Cher concert. She did not. But I still went, although I was initially hesitant to do so. I couldn't imagine doing anything fun while my mom was in the ICU. However, the West Penn staff and everybody who knew my mom back in Canada said since the concert was our primary reason for the trip, then I should go. I also knew I had to go and joked that if I didn't, her ghost would have haunted me after she passed away. If there was one final way to honor my mom while she was still alive, albeit unconscious, it was going to the concert. While the concert is a blur, I've never regretted going. Image, OP with Julian. Some of comments, contact the shelter. I reached out to them a while ago and they couldn't assist me for confidentiality reasons, which is completely understandable. To another commenter, and I absolutely respect his owner's privacy. That's why I've decided not to push ASAP or spend time acting like a pseudo-private investigator. If this post doesn't lead to Julian's owner reaching out, I won't be upset and I won't take it personal. Making this post was really cathartic. Several people have commented that they're touched by my story, which I appreciate. So that's also good enough for me. Commenter 1. If you ever want anything from Pittsburgh, DM me, happy to mail something over to you. Reply, I appreciate it, thank you. I may have to take you up on that someday. My must-buy item is Sarah's chocolate in Canonsburg. I returned to Pittsburgh in 2022 for the baby shower of my mom's ICU nurse at West Penn. I returned to ASAP Rescue, but they didn't remember me. I also went to the Target nearby and stood outside West Penn for about an hour reflecting. I also went to a Penguins game 5 months before my mom's passing. We actually attended a Penguins game against the Leafs in Pittsburgh, in which the Leafs shut out the Penguins. At that time, we had already had our tickets to see Cher in Pittsburgh, and I remember pointing out our section to my mom. Believe it or not, I still regularly text with the funeral home director who looked after my mom after her death. I was disappointed to see they removed the buffet in the Wheeling KFC. Getting anything imported from the US is expensive at the moment, due to the relationship between our countries at the moment. The exchange rate is also brutal. Once things get better, I hope to come back down again. NFL tickets are so expensive, but attending a Steelers home game is on my bucket list. I love shopping in the US, in general, due to the variety of products. US Walmarts are about twice the size of Canadian stores. I'm always amazed at how many flavors of Oreos amongst other products there are. I know this is controversial, but I always have to bring back a couple of bags of Dunkin' Donuts coffee beans. Commenter 2. I've got season ticks in the fam front row. I'd love to take you to a game sometime. PM me. Reply, thank you. I shall keep that in mind for my next trip to Pittsburgh. Commenter 2. Although I don't have updated information on Julian I can provide. My daughter and I are two of the employees who helped you that day. Rescues don't get to see good things printed about them often, so we greatly appreciate this. I am so glad that Julian was able to provide some unconditional love and support during those difficult times, and that we were able to facilitate that. Reply, wow, small world. I remember talking to you or somebody at ASAP about the traveling you do to rescue the dogs from kill shelters. It's such a huge, thankless commitment, and I have the utmost respect for what you and your staff do every day. If I lived in the US, I would absolutely come to Pittsburgh to adopt my next animal from ASAP. Commenter 3, you should definitely post this on TikTok. The algorithm there, truly algorithms, we will find Julian. Reply, I have TikTok but have never made one, I'll be honest. It feels a little much for me to contact Pittsburgh media outlets, but I also think it would make for a feel-good fluff story. So if anybody wants to help me amplify my search through the local news, I'd be open to it. Commenter 4, just wanted to add, removing artificial support measures in the ICU is not playing God. It's allowing natural events to happen. You did the only thing you could do for your mother. Reply, thank you. What I was trying to say is that it was still a life and death decision. Even if doing so was the only logical outcome, my mom didn't have a living will. But she had told me she wouldn't want to remain on life support. When she went into cardiac arrest, the paramedics were able to quickly revive her. While I knew within the first several hours that my mom coming back to Canada alive seemed unlikely, the ICU team at West Penn had some theories as to why my mom went into cardiac arrest, and wanted to do some tests and try some treatment to see if they were correct. She was stable for the first couple of days, and then went downhill even while on life support. Removing my mom from life support was the only option. But I still had to be the one to sign the DNR, and officially tell the ICU team they could turn off the life support and let my mom pass. I'm also aware that she was already gone. Based on my professional experience and education, if I wasn't the one to tell the ICU team they could remove my mom's life support, they could have gotten a court order. This is the comment to read. I'm Gunther's dad. He's been an absolutely wonderful dog. The best you could ask for. He's grown to about 60 pounds, and is a bit anxious and shy around new people, but once he gets to know you, he's the most loving dog there is. He's the biggest, best cuddler imaginable, and is so careful and thoughtful about arranging his paws, so he's never kicks you. And his mom and I always make sure he gets his time cuddling smashed between us every night and every morning. He has 3 cat siblings and he gets along with them. Well, sometimes he even gets kisses from them and gets to cuddle with them too. If any of the cats are in his way at all, he'll sit and wait for them to move instead of barreling past them. But if he hears them fighting, he'll sprint over there to make sure they play nice. It's so great to see your post and to see the impact he's had on other people and how amazing he was even before we got him. Reply, oh my goodness, I'm speechless. I'm bawling my eyes out. I can't believe you saw my post. And I love the name Gunther. I've sent you a message. Update post, title, thank you Pittsburgh. I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for helping me to connect with Julian's a.k.a. Gunther's human. Gunther filled a hole that I didn't realize needed filling. Spending time with him both before and after my mom's death made it easier for me to cope. While the ICU team at West Penn Hospital was also taking care of me by ensuring I was eating and comfortable, Gunther took care of me in a different way. When ASAP Rescue told me Gunther was a puppy, I thought he'd be super hyper, which I wouldn't have minded. I could have used the distraction while I saw him being hyper around other dogs. He was super calm and gentle with me. He wouldn't even play with his toys around me. He didn't take his eyes off of me when we were together, when I gave him treats. He didn't even give me puppy nibbles. When I was crying, he'd paw at me and give me a little lick. I held him like a baby, and he fell asleep in my arms, which ASAP said they'd never seen him do before. They said around me he was the calmest they'd ever seen him. I remember saying to somebody at ASAP, I really needed him, and they replied, and he really needed you. They said it was nice he was able to get some extra TLC and attention. I have a tattoo that says, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." And I can't help but think Gunther and I were destined to spend time with each other during the worst week of my life. After connecting with one of Gunther's humans, I was overcome and overwhelmed with emotion, which is why I abruptly went silent. I've spent the past day trying to collect my thoughts and understand why I'm feeling this way. I cannot put into words the mark that Gunther left on me that's remained to this day. I've never regretted not becoming Gunther's human. The thing I wanted the most was for him to find a loving home and live the absolute best possible life. While I was confident ASAP would ensure that, I didn't have official confirmation until yesterday. Almost every day since April 22nd, 2019, I've either said or thought, I wonder what happened to him. I hope he found a loving home. Since I couldn't be the one to provide him one, I hoped the universe would make it happen instead. The reason why it took me years to take such a bold step to get confirmation about Gunther is because I struggled to work up the courage in case his life didn't turn out as I hoped it did, which would have destroyed me. However, I got to the point where I needed to find out either way, hence my post a couple of days ago. I think this is the most I've cried since losing my mom in 2019. But these aren't tears of sadness. They're tears of joy and relief. I feel like I finally got the closure I've wanted for so long. Gunther is such a special dog, and the universe gave me exactly what I asked for when it came to giving Gunther a forever loving home. These are also tears of gratitude for every single Pittsburgher. My mom suddenly collapsing, going into cardiac arrest and dying in Pittsburgh was a living nightmare that I would never wish on anybody. However, every single person I came into contact with in Pittsburgh and Canonsburg were beyond kind, compassionate, and supportive. My mom was my only living relative, and every single Pittsburgher immediately became a member of my extended family. I love the people of Pittsburgh, and after my mom died in the Steel City, I declared myself an honorary Pittsburgher for life, and joked the mayor should give me a key to the city. It should go without saying that I especially love the staff at West Penn Hospital, ASAP Rescue, and my mom's funeral home director. I mean it when I say that Pittsburgh is my second favorite city in the world, the first being my hometown of Toronto. Just like Gunther left a permanent mark on me, the city of Pittsburgh has also left a permanent mark on me. I mean this in a literal sense, as I got West Penn Hospital's zip code tattooed on my forearm the day after my mom died. I don't think anybody would blame me if Pittsburgh was a painful place for me, and one that I want to avoid for the rest of my life. But it is quite the opposite. My mom loved to travel. She always had another trip booked while on her current vacation. People who don't know my mom are shocked to hear she died while on vacation, especially outside of her home country. Yet people who knew my mom were happy, because they knew she died doing what she loved alongside me. I ran into a former neighbor's after my mom died. He asked which hospital, and after I said she died while we were on vacation in Pittsburgh, he smirked and immediately goes, "I'm so sorry. It's just that I know she really loved to travel." And I told him he was right, so there was no need to apologize. The shirt I'm wearing in my picture says exactly what I feel. Pittsburgh truly is my happy place. My only regret about moving from Hamilton to Calgary is that I've gone from being a 4-hour drive away to a 4-hour flight. This hasn't stopped me from remaining connected to Pittsburgh in 2022. I returned to Pittsburgh for the baby shower of one of my mom's ICU nurses, and I still text almost every day with the Pittsburgh funeral home director who looked after my mom's arrangements. I felt a closeness to my mom when I visited Pittsburgh that I've never felt anywhere else since her passing. Once again, thank you, Pittsburgh. I love you, Pittsburgh. and I know I'm long overdue for another visit, which I hope to change in the new year. Image OP in a shirt that says, Pittsburgh is my happy place. Sum of comments. Commenter 1, hugs to you, I'm so very sorry for your loss, but happy to know you connected with those caring for your four-legged companion. Stories like these remind me how great the internet can truly be. I saw you mention Sarah's Candy on your previous post. I live in Canonsburg and would be happy to send you some of the good stuff. Just say the word reply. Social media can be such a cesspool, but the response to my initial post showed that it doesn't always have to be that way. I appreciate your offer. I'm currently in the midst of a healthy living journey. I've lost almost 70 pounds with another 30 pounds to go. Perhaps after I've reached my goal, I'll reach out to you for some Sarah's chocolate. Commenter 2, OP, I'm sorry for your loss, but I'm glad you were able to find comfort here in the Berg. Thank you for sharing your story. Reply. Certain cities have certain reputations, some good and some bad, overall. I believe Pittsburgh has a pretty neutral reputation. I've never heard people generally say they love it, nor have I heard people generally say they hate it. I think it's cool to have a city I feel so connected to, that also isn't a place everybody flocks to like NYC for example. Commenter 3, thank you so much for sharing this amazing story. I just adopted a new rescue pup so it's especially hitting me in the feelings. Reply, I think a lot of people assume their rescue animal has had a rough life prior to adoption, and overall they probably have. But I hope others will now consider that their rescue animal might left a positive lifelong impression on somebody before they found their forever home. Commenter 4, Pittsburgh loves you too. Reply, aw, thank you. I've been so emotional the past few days, but I don't feel sad. I was talking to my therapist yesterday, and she said, maybe I'm feeling homesick and yearning to return to Pittsburgh. Commenter 5, yes. This is the update I wanted. Reply, me too. But I didn't think it would happen so fast. Stories number 2. Eighth, for refusing to stop washing my hands just because my coworker is sensitive to smells. I have this coworker who always says she's sensitive to smells. No one's allowed to wear deodorant, let alone perfume in the office, because she throws a mini tantrum if she smells anything except clean, undiluted oxygen. Usually she just complains to the boss. Then everyone gets a generic company-wide email saying we're a scent-free zone and blah blah blah. Eye roll, everyone back to work. Now she's been extra annoying these last few weeks. She keeps saying she smells perfume. No one will admit to wearing any. We get emails about office smells almost daily now, and nothing changes. So she's decided to take the law into her own hands, so to speak. Like 2 to 3 times a week she starts walking up and down the aisles, sticks her head into each person's desk, takes a big whiff, and moves on to the next desk. All to try to find the culprit. On Friday, she did this again. I had just come back from the bathroom when she got to my desk. She did her smell test on me and immediately lost it. Apparently, the perfume she's been smelling the last few weeks was coming off me. After she made a scene in front of everyone, we determined what she was smelling was hand soap I used in the bathroom. She wasted enough time of my day by that point, so I professionally told her to fuck off, and I'm not going to stop washing my hands because she's a hypochondriac. The way I phrased it was like, hand washing with soap is a non-negotiable hygiene practice and I will not stop doing it. You can't reasonably expect me to avoid that. This was Friday, and now I'm dreading being back tomorrow. Our boss was off Friday as well, so I expect I'm going to get pulled into a meeting. Or are these just the Sunday scariest? Update, I saw a few people asking for updates, so here it is. It's not too exciting though. As I suspected, I got called into a meeting with my boss and the coworker today. I work at a small company, so we don't have a dedicated HR department, and our boss handles these kinds of issues. We ended up figuring out what happened. The maintenance guy for the building put new soap in the bathroom a couple of weeks ago. That lines up with when the coworker started smelling perfume in the office. So every time someone used the bathroom and washed their hands, she thought the smell was perfume. Probably by the time she noticed the smell and did her investigation, the smell would mostly be gone. It's only hand soap and honestly doesn't smell strong, so she could never pinpoint the source. On Friday, she happened to do her smell test on me right as I came back from the bathroom, so it just happened. The smell was still strong. My boss ended up just buying new hand soap, I think, to smooth things over, and placed the bottles in the bathrooms. He asked everyone to please use the new unscented soaps until they can get the ones in the bathroom changed. The coworker was making a bit of a scene during the meeting. She kept thrusting her finger at me and saying things like, "You don't respect me, you don't take my issues seriously." Which is honestly true. I don't take her issues seriously. There's times she smells something no one else can smell. and she'll get angry at people using scents. Then I've seen her walk in the bathroom right after someone sprayed perfume and not notice anything. Last year, she also demanded everyone stop using scented detergents at home. No one I talk to has stopped, including myself. But she thinks everyone has and so doesn't smell scented detergent anymore coincidentally. Anyways, I'm professional at work, so while I don't actually take her seriously, I don't express that. I feel like she was just projecting her issues with other coworkers at me. We're not friends, but I don't treat her any differently. I don't even join in when people are talking shit about her, which is a lot. The only reason I sit near her is because everyone else has asked to move within a few weeks because she's so difficult. I can tolerate her, so it's been my desk for a while. Anyways, I asked her to explain what I did that makes her feel like I don't respect her. She couldn't come up with an answer because there isn't one, and kind of just stumbled on her words. Then I asked when I can expect an apology for embarrassing me on Friday and accusing me of not respecting her today. She ended up just walking out, and when I got back to my desk, her purse was gone, so I guess she just left for the day. Also, this didn't click until I was reading some comments on my original post. But I guess this whole situation means she doesn't wash her hands. Otherwise she would have smelled the soap right away. Glad I never had any of her stuff at the potlucks. Stories number 3. Second grade bully choked my daughter. Just found out that my youngest daughter, 8 today, was choked at school by a little boy. She asked her nanny to tell me what happened, because she was very upset when she was picked up after school. It's her dad's side's dinner day. Apparently a classmate told the teacher, but nothing was done. So when she was released, she told the teacher and the boy's mom was called. And my daughter got a birthday present after from the teacher. Sounds more like hush money. I was not called by the school and I'm livid. I'm going to the school tomorrow to rip some skin off the teacher with the principal. If there's supposed to be zero tolerance of bullying, why is this being tolerated? This to me is more than just playground roughhousing. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Wait, the teacher paid your kid. When you say hush money, do you actually mean money? Reply, no, but a special treat is a bribe to me. OOP responds to a long comment about letting her daughter know that she is taking action at the school. By talking with teachers and the principal, reply, I did let my daughter know last night I was going to handle this at the school today. And I did. Unannounced. She and I and her stepdad, my husband, are always talking about how to handle different obstacles, and that we will always have her and her siblings back. I also told her that if anyone ever tries to hurt her in any way, to do what I've always taught her. Scream at the top of her lungs, I said, stop touching me. Commenter 2. This level of negligence by the teacher is so disgusting. Did they even tell the principal what happened? Please report back tomorrow and tell us what happened. Your daughter deserves much better, and I'm glad you know it. Commenter 3. Advocate for your daughter. But also think that if this little boy has been exposed to choking behavior, he may not be safe either. I feel sad for everyone involved. Commenter 4. The teacher is definitely protecting that bully for whatever known reasons, since they didn't inform you on what happened. That bully is protected like a near-extinct species. Change schools, update 1. I met with administration over the school today, unannounced. I brought with me the above letter for the principal and the teacher. No. The principal and assistant principal had no clue about the incident. Surprise, damage control was immediately apparent from them. It was confirmed that policy was not followed, and I should have been informed immediately upon knowledge of the altercation. And my daughter should have seen the staff nurse, who would have also called me. An investigation has officially begun. And my daughter, along with any other witnesses, the boy in question, and the teacher are to be questioned regarding the event also. Education is to be had with this teacher about upholding district policies around bullying. Communication and discipline. I am to have a response of what has been done to handle the incident by Wednesday of next week. I'll update again when I hear something. The fact that the principal wasn't aware of the situation speaks volumes about the teacher, and I made it clear I'm loud about advocating for my babies. Thank you for everyone who commented on my OP for the encouragement and reassurance that, in fact, I was never overreacting. Screenshot of the letter. On September 25, 2025, when I picked up my daughter, redacted from her nanny at 6 p.m., she reported to me that another student, boy's name, had placed his hands around her throat and choked her. She told me, I couldn't breathe. Mama, when I asked her if she was choked, she said yes. She also reported that he repeatedly yanked her arm until it hurt, and she continues to be sore this morning. AO 926, according to redacted Ms. Teacher, she was informed by one student while this was happening but did not hear the student. When daughter got away from the boy, She told Ms. Teacher herself about the incident. The child in question and daughter were talked to by their teacher to determine if the allegations were true. She said student did admit to choking and pulling her arm, and Ms. Teacher wrote him up and told her that she'd give her a special treat the next day. 09/26. An apology was made by Ms. Teacher, who also mentioned that she thought the boy's parents were called. As a very upset and concerned parent, I would like for a few things to be acknowledged and addressed. Another student has put his hands on my daughter in a violent manner. I was not notified by any of school elementary staff. My child was not examined by the staff nurse to determine if she was injured and needed medical attention. The standard protocol for a strangulation incident, or any other violent incident on school grounds, was not followed. 2025-2026 District-Wide K-12 Student and Parent Handbook, page 63. Upon the finding by a school administrator that a student has committed an act of bullying, or is a victim of bullying, the administrator or designee shall notify the parent, guardian, or other person having control or charge of the student by telephone call or through written notice, which may be done electronically. The school not addressing such an incident can make way for the possibility of more escalated occurrences toward other students, and could lead to serious cases of bullying and injuries. The zero-tolerance policy for bullying has clearly not been held to the standard that the district promises. I feel that if situations like this aren't handled correctly, something worse may happen in the future. This boy could be very dangerous to other children, and even redacted adults, in the future. In addition, I would like to report that I have learned that another little boy, redacted, who isn't in Ms. Teacher's class, has been hitting, pushing, and kicking other children, including my daughter. It continues to happen quite often, and no reports have been made from the students at school to their teachers or other staff. In conclusion, this letter has been hand-delivered with the intention of informing you of the incident, my expectations, and my intent to keep my child, and other children, free from harm. This is my most important concern, student safety. I intend to meet face-to-face with you as many times as necessary for a resolution and explanation as to why I wasn't immediately contacted at the time of the event, how this will be handled going forward, and the action plan to address it. I have the expectation that you will evaluate the lack of priority for safety and transparency with diligence, and that I be kept in the loop. I request to receive written updates via letter or email correspondence. I will always be the biggest advocate for children, and I expect the same from the schools they attend. Thank you. Commenter 1. I'm not a parent. I don't care how you guys don't find these little gremlins and drop-kick them into their next life cycle. That's horrifying. Reply. I told the principal that I wrote that statement with steam coming out of my ears, and I was finding it very hard to keep my composure seeing how a child just assaulted my daughter. She was very humble, to my face at least, and apologetic. I'm hoping I don't have to go back up there. All composure will be lost next time. Commenter 2. You should CC that to the superintendent of the district and to your state education board, NOR. Absolutely absurd. Reply. My plan is to forward this letter along with whatever communication I receive from the school with their resolution to the BOE. Editor's note, Board of Education, how is OOP's daughter doing? Reply, she's alright, but she doesn't want to be around that boy anymore. Understandably. I took her to see her favorite aunt and uncle, and they loved on her and checked on her. She and I have been talking about how she feels about what happened, and it seems that because I assured her I was handling things, she's calm, but I did check her out after I met with the principal, because I just wanted to have eyes on her. Commenter 3. Glad there's some action being done. You're a great mom. Don't let any of them make you quiet. Fight for your daughter. Commenter 4. Nor. They didn't follow their own policies. Good chance you could discuss with a lawyer, and if you have proof, possibly open up a police report on the matter. That might be an overreaction, a stern letter and demanding the school do better and that you want to know how they will. Not at all. Final update. So as y'all know, I went up to the school unannounced Friday afternoon. The principal had no idea what I was talking about, but assured me that she would get to the bottom of it all. This was around 1 p.m. 09/26. At roughly 5 p.m. that same afternoon, I received a phone call from my daughter's teacher advising me of the incident and apologizing for not calling me the day the incident happened. She stated, I just didn't know how to tell you. What a load of crap. I let her know that if I had been called Thursday afternoon, I wouldn't have had to make a trip up to the school Friday, and we wouldn't be in this predicament. I'd be more understanding and patient with her and the school. But that's not what happened, and I expect immediate repercussions for all responsible parties involved. She again apologized, and ensured that she was going to handle the boy, and has written him up and contacted his parents. After I made it a point to go speak with the principal, shows she never had intentions to in the first place. Yesterday, the principal met with my daughter, the boy in question, and the other boy that had been pushing and kicking kids at recess. Both boys admitted to what my daughter described to her principal, so both of them were expected to receive consequences equal to the seriousness of the offense. Her principal called me around 5:30 p.m. yesterday evening to let me know that she has taken action towards the bullies, and she has also contacted both sets of parents to advise them of their children's poor behavior and the consequences they would receive. Per school policies, I was not able to have details on what disciplinary actions assigned to each student, but because my daughter and the boy who choked her share a classroom, I can confirm that he was checked out before lunch and directly after my girl met with administration herself. This leads me to believe that he has been suspended. I just don't know for how many days. While in conversation with the principal, she advised me that she met with all of the teachers to have additional training on proper ways to report incidents such as this, and how to avoid having them in the first place. She let me know each teacher has been educated on how to keep a better eye on the students during recess. They're not out to socialize with each other, but to teach the children proper ways to play with each other, avoiding violence or acts of bullying. I thanked her for filling me in and handling this situation with urgency, but I expect better communication from the school, and her standards shouldn't be any less than that, either. It might be over right now, but my trust has been broken to the point where I'm not sure they are 100% honest with us parents, and they haven't been open and transparent with incidents similar to what my daughter went through. I hope this isn't a trend that I just stumble upon, and I hope that this never happens again to any student or family. Thank you all for the encouragement through this. I appreciate the advice and reassurance through it all. Stories number 4. Aita for telling an autistic person that their disability isn't an excuse for not paying for services rendered. I work as a server in a restaurant. A couple of nights ago I had a couple in their 30s come in around 2 a.m. As I took their order, the husband mentioned that all the food had to be on separate plates for his wife, as she is autistic and will not eat foods that share the same plate. They then proceed to order. She wanted a kids' meal, however restaurant policy states that kids' meals can only be bought for kids. I explained this policy and explained that everything on the kids' menu is available to adults for a slightly higher price. Combined, it all came out to about $1.50 more in price. The husband agrees, and I send the order to the kitchen. We are a little busier than normal as it's homecoming weekend and we have lots of big parties. About 20 minutes pass and the husband flags me down and states that his wife is having a panic attack and they need to pay for their drink and leave. I ask for 1 second to make the kitchen aware that their order is no longer needed, and he agrees. When I go to the kitchen, I'm told the food is already prepared, so I ask for it to be boxed up to go. I return to the floor, explain that the food has been prepared and I'm having it boxed to go for them. The wife then states because of her panic attack she will not be able to eat. I explain that I am sorry that she had a panic attack, but as they came into the restaurant, ordered the food, and that it was already prepared, they would be expected to pay for the services rendered. However, I would comp their drinks if they would like. She then asked why she should have to pay for food she wouldn't be able to consume, and I simply stated that once the food was ordered and cooked, the company required compensation for services rendered, and that even if they were to stay in the restaurant and not eat any of the food and leave it at the table, they would still be expected to pay for what they ordered. She then reiterated that she had a panic attack and that I should have recognized she was having a medical episode, to which I replied that I am a server and not a trained medical provider, and that if she was being escorted out of the restaurant on a stretcher, then I would make an exception. But as she was currently speaking with me coherently, I failed to see how her medical condition warranted her not paying her bill. Today I received a complaint that they filed with our corporate office saying that I discriminated against them by make them pay for food that the wife wouldn't be able to consume due to her having a panic attack induced by her autism. However, I would have done the same with any customer regardless of who they are. I actually think that making an exception for them solely because she is disabled would be a form of discrimination, as I would be treating her differently than I would treat others solely because of her disability. So my question is Aita for not making an exception, or did I do the right thing by having them pay for the food they ordered? Commenter 1. So she had a panic attack but stayed in the restaurant to argue about not paying for her meal? That clearly was not an emergency. She sounds like a nightmare who is totally enabled by the husband. Commenter 2, they ordered the food, they pay for the food. They can take it home or throw it away, it doesn't matter. NTA Commenter 3, it is not your fault that she changed her mind regarding the food. I'm sure that her being autistic, she had these experiences before. They also can't expect everyone to recognize and deal with the issues related to autism. What I'd done differently is refer all this to your manager as soon this problem started. Commenter 4. So she overcame the panic attack so she could argue about the bill. NTA. And those two are running a scam. Edit. Scam was trying to get free food. Scam was shut down by OP Stories number 5. AITA for refusing to take my daughter to her birthday party. My 33F daughter, Cleo, 5-yo, hates pink. She has disliked the color and almost everything to do with it since she was about 3 or so. She has one pink shirt she likes and one pink stuffed animal. And that's it. My father's partner, Prue, refuses to accept that Cleo doesn't like pink over the years. She's made several attempts to push the color onto her. Pretty much every gift she's ever given her was some shade of pink. No matter how many times I tell her to stop, she has tried to give me dozens of different reasons why I should encourage my daughter to try different shades. It clearly upsets Cleo, but Prue keeps doing it. About a week ago, my father invited me, my husband and our children for dinner at his place. He said he and Prue had a surprise for the kids, right before we left home. My younger sister, who still lives with our father, texted me. She warned me that the surprise was actually a small birthday party Prue had planned for Cleo. That alone threw me off. Because my daughter's birthday was in November. My father did miss her actual birthday party due to work. But still, also my son turns 9 in March, so I had figured his would be the next party we'd have. Then she sent me photos of how the place was decorated, and it very clearly wasn't actually meant for Cleo. Literally every piece of decor was pink. The tableware, the balloons, everything. She had gotten pink banners and glued pink foil fringe curtains on the doors. Even the cake was pink. I showed everything to my husband, and we agreed not to take the kids there. I texted my father the following. Hey, sister told me everything. We're not coming. We're taking the kids to McDonald's and telling them that was your surprise. You and Prue can come if you want. We're paying. We did exactly that. My father did show up without Prue, but he was cold with us and left 20 minutes after arriving. Both him and Prue are pissed. My father is angry that my husband and I dismissed his partner's heartfelt gesture towards our daughter. Prue also told me that I'm the reason Cleo is restrictive. I also don't like pink, and I'm raising her to be an ungrateful, spoiled brat who is unwilling to compromise. To be honest, I get how I could be in the wrong here. But at the same time, this just felt like Prue trying to push something Cleo doesn't like onto her yet again. My sister and one of my brothers are on my side, though my sister did say I had been rude. My other brother is on the fence. Edit. My daughter doesn't know I dislike pink, nor would I care if she did like it. For clarification, hey guys, I ended up leaving a lot of comments on my Aita post, many of which say the same things over and over, because I don't think it will be easy to read them all, and because many of you were quick to make inaccurate assumptions about me and my family. I'm writing this to clarify some things. Cleo and Prue are both fake names. We're not American. Prue is 46 years old. I don't call her my stepmother because she's only 13 years older than me. Also, she's not married to my father, but they've been together for 12 years. I have nothing against her. We're just not close. Cleo's interests are pretty balanced. She likes princesses, cars, robots, and dolls. She loves science and outer space. She does ballet and loves it too. She's the only girl in her ballet class who wears black. Her teacher calls her Black Swan. She's not a girly girl, but I wouldn't call her a tomboy either. She's just a kid who hates pink. Cleo's favorite colors are yellow and blue. Though I understand the assumption Cleo dislikes pink because of me. That's not the case. I hate pink, but I'm not disgusted by it. I wear pink clothing around my children. I occasionally dressed Cleo in pink as a baby. I own pink stuff and buy it for myself. My kids don't know. I don't like pink. They've chosen pink gifts for me in the past, according to my son. I love all the colors. My father and Prue know it, because I've disliked pink since long before I had children. There's plenty of stuff I hate that my kids like and vice versa. They don't have to care about these things, so I don't tell them. Cleo's more boyish tastes also annoy Prue. Not as much as the pink thing, but enough that my husband and I know. Cleo's birthday party last November was themed after Super Mario Bros., and Prue actually asked me why I was allowing that. Cleo is open about hating pink. She has expressed that to Prue several times, specifically because she keeps pushing it. Both my kids are polite. Whenever Prue gives my daughter something pink, Cleo thanks her. She'll sometimes ask Prue if she can give her something yellow next time, and she doesn't act as excited as she gets when other people give her something she actually likes. But that's it. We let Cleo choose which of her gifts she wants to exchange. She always asks to exchange pink stuff. If it can't be exchanged, she won't play with it or wear it. We either give those away to her friends or donate them to charity. Cleo does have friends who like pink. Her best friend loves it, and wouldn't complain if they threw pink parties for themselves. She'd know those aren't about her, but the second you made it about her, aka threw her a pink party, then she'd be upset. Cleo would have loathed the party. She would have started crying immediately. She wouldn't have eaten the cake. She wouldn't have had fun. I didn't tell Cleo about the party for a number of reasons. Most importantly, I didn't want her to get upset. I also knew that letting her see it would ruin my father's image in her eyes. Cleo is already upset that Prue doesn't care about what she likes. And I didn't want to get frustrated at her grandfather, too. Yes, my daughter does in fact hate pink. Yes, I'm very well aware that might change someday. No, I wouldn't care if it did. I think that's all I wanted to say here. Feel free to ask me any other questions you may have. Update: Aita for refusing to take my daughter to her birthday party. First of all, I apologized to my sister a few hours after I made my original post. I am very grateful for what she did, but I'll do my best to keep her away from these conflicts moving forward. Thank you to those who defended her. Secondly, I went through your comments with my husband, and our main takeaway was that we did what we had to do to protect Cleo, even if it wasn't what we'd do in most circumstances. Had either of us been surprised with a party decorated with something we openly hated, we would have sucked it up and ignored it. It sucks, but we're adults, and it comes with the territory. Cleo, however, is 5 years old. She wouldn't deal with this the same way. Nor would we expect her to. Knowing my daughter, she would have been miserable at the party. So ultimately, we don't regret not taking her there. On Saturday, we took the kids to spend the afternoon at my brother's place with their cousins. In the meantime, we invited my father and Prue over to talk. My husband and I told them we wanted them to abide by the following. 1. No more surprise parties without our knowledge and approval. 2. No more pushing the color pink onto Cleo, including pink gifts. And 3. No more calling our children spoiled for being allowed to dislike something. If they didn't agree to our terms, we would no longer take the kids to their place, and there would be a good chance we'd lower our contact with them in the future. Prue didn't say anything at first. My father tried to argue that we should at least thank her for the party, but I said no. I told them the problem wasn't that Prue threw a party for my daughter that was dedicated to her own interests. It was that she specifically chose something she knows my daughter hates and centered everything around it. We wouldn't thank her, and we wouldn't apologize. That's when Prue chimed in. She tried to tell us we were raising our daughter to be a brat again. So I asked, "Why are you so insistent on pink?" She didn't answer at first, but then said she knew Cleo did love pink. She just didn't know it yet. And to that I asked, "Would you be this pushy if it was about any other color?" Prue tried to say that didn't matter. But when my husband asked her if she'd care if Cleo hated blue, she said, "She doesn't need to like blue." He replied that she didn't need to like pink either. He told Prue that she had no right to decide what Cleo should and shouldn't like. Cleo hates pink, and if she can't be an adult and respect that, then she doesn't need to be around our children. In the end, my father and Prue agreed to our terms. I'm not confident about her, but I did speak to my father. I said I know that he has a hard time saying no to Prue, but he will ruin his relationship with me and my children if he keeps enabling his partner. My father promised he wouldn't let this happen again. I hope this works out. Cleo is a great kid, and I hope my father and Prue can finally start seeing that. Thank you all for everything. Final update: Aita for refusing to take my daughter to her birthday party. Hey guys, I wasn't planning on coming back, but stuff happened recently, and I remembered writing my previous posts. Things with Prue were mostly fine the months after my last post. On one hand, she didn't try to push pink onto Cleo in any way. No pink gifts, no preaching, no weirdly timed parties. On the other hand, Prue didn't change much about the rest of her behavior. She was still annoyed whenever my daughter's non-girly tastes were mentioned. She wouldn't say anything, but I could see she was making an effort not to. Cleo didn't seem to notice it or be bothered by it. I don't have much to say about my father's behavior, but I will say we didn't have any problems related to this. Anyway, Cleo's 6th birthday is coming up in early November. Her best friend's birthday is about 2 weeks before hers, and we're doing a joint party for them near the end of this month. The girls have both become obsessed with the Wicked movie this past year, so they've decided that will be the theme. We're also looking into taking them to see the musical sometime between their birthdays. The girls are very excited. Last month we had dinner with my father, and Cleo started talking about the party. Prue was happy about the theme until Cleo mentioned she's going to wear an Elphaba costume and her friend will dress as Glinda. The kids eventually shifted the subject, and Prue didn't say anything else about the party. I got a text message from Prue later that night. It was long and not in English, so here are some bullet points. She's been holding a lot in these last few months. I'm influencing my daughter, and raising her to be a tomboy isn't as cool as I think. Cleo is obviously confused, and it's my fault. It's embarrassing that I won't let my daughter be special on her birthday. It's bad that my husband lets Cleo watch F1 with him. Why she felt the need to bring that up is beyond me. It's sad that I won't let my daughter be herself, which I found very funny. I'm failing my daughter. She wasn't going to say anything, but couldn't help herself. The text solidified everything I already thought about Prue. She won't drop this, and she won't change. And I don't want to keep putting my daughter around someone who won't respect her for who she is. Both me and my husband blocked Prue the next day. I sent my father a screenshot of her text and told him we're lowering our contact with her. We'll only see her during family events. That means the only other time we'll see her this year is Christmas Eve. He can still see the kids without her. And if she tries to pull anything in front of the kids, we're cutting ties permanently. A few hours later, my father asked, "I can't get you to change your mind, can I?" I told him no, and he said he agreed. I told my siblings everything. My sister is moving in with her boyfriend in January, so I'm not too worried about her getting mixed up in this any further. But I told her to let me know if anything happened. So far, all she's had to say is that Prue has been telling her she wants to apologize to me. I don't care whether she does anymore. Also, Cleo found a type of pink she likes. It's a deep magenta. She calls it purple pink. She still hates every other shade, but it's something. And because of the theme, there is going to be a lot of pink at her birthday party. Even if it's not her half, both my children are doing great, and I grow prouder of them every day. I have zero intention of updating again. I have a lot going on in my life right now, and just thinking about the fact all this happened because a grown woman couldn't accept that my child hates a color exhausts me. I'm more than happy to stop talking about this. Once again, thank you for everything. Stories number 6. Hey Aita, if we don't pay for my son's rehearsal dinner because I can't stand his fiancée. OOP and her husband have 3 sons. Luis 32, Cyril 27, and Jaime 22. OOP is navigating the complex family dynamics, mainly with her son Luis and his fiancée Jessa. OOP is closer with her sons and their partners, but she feels uneasy about Jessa due to political differences, and Jessa's deceptive hostility towards Jaime's wife. Lucy, Jessa made snide comments about Lucy, and there are tensions surrounding her wedding, particularly concerning the rehearsal dinner. Up is conflicted about paying for the dinner, as she feels it may enable Jessa's treatment of Lucy, but her husband suggests they should let it go to avoid conflict. She's concerned about maintaining a good relationship with her children and their partners, but doesn't want to overlook behavior that hurts Lucy, whom she's very close to. She asks if withholding payment would make her an asshole. Update 1. After inviting her son Luis to lunch to discuss rehearsal dinner and wedding plans, OOP learned there are significant tensions between Luis and Jaime, which she hadn't realized was so severe. Luis expressed frustration with Jaime, accusing him of being controlling and unsupportive. Particularly regarding the wedding, this revelation was shocking, as both brothers had always been close, and she's unsure how to proceed. OOP was not sure about making an intervention, as her husband thinks Luis and Jaime should work it out on their own, and she's unsure whether to get involved in the family drama or let things unfold, with the wedding approaching closer. She's left navigating her role in this difficult situation. Update 2. Please be kind to me. I know that I have not been a perfect mother or mother-in-law, and I know these issues aren't mine to fight, but my family is falling apart. Last weekend, my son Jaime and his wife Lucy went out of town for a concert. My husband and I stayed home and had Letty, and we had a great time, although they probably FaceTimed us every 2 hours all day Saturday. Saturday evening, Luis and Jessa invited us out to dinner. We told them we could go somewhere but would need to be home by 8 for Letty to go to bed. Or they could come to our place, and we could get takeout and hang out here. I assumed they wanted to talk about the rehearsal dinner. They didn't respond until after I got home from church, and my son just texted me and said, "We were thinking somewhere nicer." Never mind. Kind of odd, but whatever. Everyone got home safely, but Jessa and Luis skipped our Sunday dinner the next day. Then a few days ago, I was home with Lucy and Letty, and Luis came over with Jessa to pick up the ring. Luis has this thing with Letty where he'll walk in and say ring ring, and she'll yell, hello. And then he picks her up and gives her hugs and kisses. But he came in and was just ignoring her, so she ran up with her arms out and yelled, hello! And he just walked past her. He got what he needed, and they left, but I was appalled. I asked Lucy if we should tell Jaime, and she just said that we probably shouldn't. But how are you going to be rude to your niece? She's also his goddaughter, just because you're mad at her dad. But that brings us to yesterday. I was out grocery shopping. Apparently, keep in mind, I was not there. Luis came over to bring something to my husband, who was outside in the garage with Jaime and Letty. Luis and Jaime got into an altercation that became physical. My husband says that Luis instigated the physical fight, but he's not sure of the rest since his only goal was to get Letty inside. When he got back outside, it seemed over and nobody was hurt, but they were still yelling at one another. My husband told Luis to leave, and when he did, had Jaime go downstairs to cool down. I asked him what even started the fight. He said he isn't even sure. Everything escalated so quickly, and I have never seen him so shaken in so long. We don't know how we're going forward, but I finally agree with you all. This is Jaime and Luis's issue to work out. I can't blame myself, and I certainly can't fix it myself. My husband and I told Luis he was no longer welcome at our home, and he lashed out at us, telling us we were taking his side, and I told him, listen, he attacked his brother in front of his child. They both deserve to live somewhere they feel safe. The other thing is that Luis works for my husband, and he's well within his rights to make him do a drug test. As for the wedding, I have no idea what to do. My husband says we should just give them the money we promised them and be done with it. That breaks my heart, but it might be the only way. Jaime just has told me a few times we just need to get through the wedding and maybe things will work themselves out. I don't know if he means that, to be honest. I'm just so sick. I wish there was something I can do. I am trying to set up some time to spend with my middle son, Cyril. I feel bad that he's in the middle of all of this too, and don't want him to think I've forgotten about him. Update 3, update to not wanting to pay for my son's rehearsal dinner because I can't stand his fiancée. I have posted before. This is an update, and this will probably be my last update, and I apologize that it's kind of long. I'll try summarizing it at the end. I am completely destroyed about all of this. I mentioned in my last post, my husband and I told Jaime he needed to tell us the truth about everything. Lucy was working, and he put Letty to bed, so it was just the three of us. He kept skirting the subject, and I finally got so mad and told him, listen, you're living in my home and now you're physically fighting your brother. If you don't tell me what's going on, your daughter can stay here, but you and Lucy will need to find somewhere else to live if you want to keep secrets like this. He got angry and wouldn't answer me anymore. We fought a bit more and he went to bed. I told my husband I meant it, and he was like, I don't know what else to do. Luckily, my son came to us the next morning and told us everything from his point of view. Basically, for the 4th of July, we had fireworks in our neighborhood. So Cyril, Rosa, Luis, and Jessa came over. We still have rooms for them. And since Rosa's dog was at her parents', they all had a bit too much to drink and all spent the night. Later, when my husband and I had already gone to bed, and they were all hanging out, Cyril and Lucy went for a walk and smoked a joint. I'm not saying I approve of this or anything. I've never seen her high, but I've heard them make jokes because she doesn't drink, but I guess sometimes does smoke. So basically the only person who was fully sober was Luis. But he had just gotten LASIK, couldn't drive at night, and was a little out of it in general. Anyways, Jessa flipped out when she found out about the pot and started yelling at Lucy. She said she was a mandated reporter, and since Jaime had been drinking, she was endangering her child by smoking weed. Brought up that kidnapped British child and just laid into her. Lucy got upset and went to bed, and Jaime argued with Jessa. He admitted it got pretty nasty from both of them, basically. Jaime called Jessa out for her behavior towards his wife in general. Jessa told him that she was just saying the truth. And it's ridiculous that they call themselves married when they only got married because they had a baby, and for insurance, and would be divorced in a few years anyways. Jaime told her she's just bitter that she's still in her mid-30s and unmarried. This was low. She had an engagement that ended because her fiancé cheated on her with her friend. Jessa then went for the jugular and told him that it was embarrassing for him and Letty to even be in their wedding because it was trashy, being so young with a baby, and that Letty would have been better off being adopted by a nice family who was wanting a child. Jaime told her if it was so embarrassing for her, his family didn't need to go the wedding and it wouldn't be anything off his back. He then went inside to go to bed. Luis followed him into the house and asked him not drop out of the wedding. He said everyone was just drunk and said cruel things, and promised Jessa wasn't going to call CPS. Jaime still said he couldn't be his best man, and that he didn't want his wife or daughter to ever be alone with Jessa until she apologized. And that's when the whole Lucy shouldn't go to the reception so she can watch her daughter, and she shouldn't spend money on things that aren't Letty stuff started. Lucy was really scared of rocking the boat and was just going along with it. Jaime had been trying to get to her and convince her that nothing was going to happen, but she was freaked out. So of course I asked if he hasn't told us any of this because he also believed that this was a problem. How often is she getting high? He just laughed and said maybe 2 or 3 times a month. He's not worried, and she's certainly not since the 4th. Weed is legal in our state, and I know Cyril smokes often, but only if you're over 21. So Lucy has been embarrassed, and especially hasn't wanted my husband and I to know any of this. I wanted to get my other son's sides, and Cyril agreed to meet my husband and me later that day, and his version was the same as Jaime's. Almost worse because he and Rosa stayed outside and kept arguing with Jessa. And I know you all think I forget about my middle son, but he knows that he's my drama-free king who never causes me any headaches. I asked if he thought Letty was being neglected, or if Jaime or Lucy had a problem, and it was a resounding no. He told us that he thought that Luis and Jessa were out of their minds and just looking for drama. Apparently after Jaime had left the fire, Jessa continued ranting about Lucy, saying she was inappropriate with Luis because in his phone her name had an emoji by it. I can confirm this. It's a car. Because before Luis got his license back, the joke was that Lucy was his Uber driver. She also talked about not wanting me to watch her kids if Letty was there, because she thought that since her parents were teens, she'll be a bad influence on her and Luis's kids. Cyril said he and Rosa also want to drop out of the wedding, but Jaime begged him to stay on to avoid any more drama. Finally, he said that he's tried talking to Luis as well. And as much as he blames Jessa, he feels like Luis has to be blamed as well more than anyone for going along with everything. At this point we were devastated and confronted Luis about his side. He continued to avoid the question, so I was very clear. We told him what his brother said, and asked if any of it was true because I had wanted him to get a chance to give his full story without any bias. But he refused to say anything until I relayed what Jaime and Cyril told us. He didn't deny any of it, actually has assumed that I knew about it, and that Jaime had told me, and asked me to withhold the money unless Lucy was invited to the wedding, which has been setting him off. I asked him if he thought that Letty was being neglected by Lucy or Jaime. They live in my home, and I needed to know if he truly believed that we had reason to be concerned about my granddaughter's safety. He didn't answer directly and was like, "See, this is just proof that all you care about is Jaime and his kid." And Jaime needed to realize he wasn't perfect, so I asked him again, and he avoided the question. Again. My husband asked him then and there if he could pass a drug test because he was ranting and getting flustered but not actually saying anything. He brought up some other things, including a specific, relaxed conversation that Jessa was a part of, and I still have no idea why she would be upset by it. I could tell Luis was deeply hurt by that, and I think my husband regretted it. Luis told us the only person we should be drug testing was Lucy and made us leave, but the next day sent over a confirmation that he took drug test at the lab we've used before. And when we received the results, he passed. Later this week, he handed in his notice. He works for my husband. He's taken a position at a competitor. My husband is devastated, because it obviously means he's been talking to said competitors as offers don't just happen out of the blue in his opinion, but paid out his notice and that was his last day. During all of this, but after we'd confronted Luis, my husband and I started discussing how we would move forward. We knew at this point that the boys would need to work this out themselves, if I'm going to be honest. After getting all the sides of the story, we were leaning towards being on Jaime and Lucy's side, although we acknowledged the mistakes they made, since it all seemed like a severe overreaction on Jessa's part after months of rude bullying towards them. We talked about possibly talking to them, booking therapy, anything to try to fix all of this, but on Tuesday our decision was made for us. It was possibly the worst day of most of our lives. I was at home with Letty and Lucy, and a caseworker from Family Protective Services came to our home based on a report. We were all interviewed and they did a walkthrough of the house. I don't know if we're going to get an official notice or anything, but the caseworker seemed nice and told us she saw nothing to move forward on, but left some stuff about services for Lucy and Jaime. They are completely traumatized, and so am I, if I'm being honest, and have been glued to Letty ever since Tuesday. As if somebody is going to take her from them. Even Letty can tell they are sad. I've spoken with Lucy, who kept assuring me she only ever smoked on some weekends, and never when Letty was awake. I told her that I believed her. She kept offering to take a drug test. And even if I didn't, nobody is going to take a happy, healthy, and safe child from her parents, even if she was smoking every day, but I can tell she doesn't believe me. Jaime confronted Luis that evening via text. He refuses to see him and asked if it was him or Jessa. Luis told him it didn't matter. So Jaime told him he was dead to him and blocked his number. Rosa dropped out of the wedding, and Cyril is staying on as best man but won't attend the reception or give a speech. He wanted to back down completely, but Luis convinced him to stay on for the ceremony at least. I told him he should do what he thinks is best. He says he still wants to drop out, but is worried it might lead to something worse. He said something and was completely heartbroken, but was kind of like, well, you know, there's still time for them to turn against me and try to ruin my life, so we'll see how this goes. I think he's trying to protect his little brother by not pissing them off more, but I can tell how miserable he is. My husband and I are completely broken about all of this. We told Luis that while we would always love him, but we could not support him or his marriage after he and Chan or his fiancée wasted CPS resources to get revenge on his brother, and that he needed to come over and get the rest of his stuffed documents we were keeping for him. Childhood stuff that wouldn't have fit in his apartment, and to let us know exactly when he would be doing this because Jaime and his family were not going to be there. Maybe we shouldn't have, but we confronted him when he came over, asking him again if he truly believed that his niece was in any danger. He told me that it didn't matter what he thought. We'd always defend Jaime, who he said would get over it once this all blew over. I told him he very much would not be getting over this, and very likely he would never see his brother or his niece ever again. I don't know if he didn't realize before then how serious this all was or what, but he kind of backtracked and told us to tell Jaime to call him. We told him multiples that wouldn't happen, and he got angry and desperate before blaming us, saying that we're the reason for this mess. We should have made Jaime figure his own life out and not babied him. I remember yelling at him that if he'd had his own way, I would still be doing his laundry and packing him lunch, and to remember that he lived her for longer than Jaime has or plans to. My husband and he started fighting, and it ended with Luis telling us that he was going to start his own family and didn't need us, and blamed us for all of his problems. I was done with that and told him to get out if he was just going to say things with no examples or explanations to back it up. He didn't ask about the money, but I was ready to tell him I was saving it in case we would need a lawyer for all of his bullshit. I know it would be easy to blame Jessa, and it's hard not to because I can see her influence in all of this. But my son is the problem, and he or his fiancée with his knowledge and support has done something so unforgivable I don't think he will ever see his brother's family again. And it will be a long time before my husband and I want to see him. I will always love him. And if I got a call tomorrow saying that he needed a kidney, a lung, bone marrow, I would go straight to the hospital to give it to him. If he needed to go back to rehab, I would go back to work and work nights to pay for it. And my heart feels like it has the flu or something, because I know if he has children, I'm unlikely to know, much less meet them. But I can't forgive him for this, and he hasn't even attempted to apologize. I've never been so sad. In conclusion, Jessa got angry with Lucy for smoking marijuana on the 4th of July and threatened to call CPS. Jaime defended her and attacked Jessa, which caused the past few weeks of fighting. After confronting everyone, Luis was acting odd, and we asked for a drug test. He passed and quit working for my husband to work for his competitor. And then either he or Jessa made a report to CPS about Letty. They found nothing, but Lucy and Jaime are traumatized, and we've all pulled out of the wedding. I've never been so sad. Relevant comments, downvoted commenter. Looks like Luis feels Jaime is the golden child. Your posts also seem to suggest it. While Jessa seems obnoxious, your eldest son has stated quite clearly you favor your youngest. So while this incident is his fault, I somehow feel you and Dad created this situation. Reply, Jaime simply needs us more right now. We've spent years and hundreds of thousands of dollars supporting Luis to get him to a good place. His brothers didn't complain and say we were favoring him then. My middle son doesn't think we favor anyone. Luis is the only one saying it. I'm sure we could have done things better in the past, and we wouldn't be here, but here we are. Commenter 1, wow, seems Luis feels you favor your youngest over him. As for the weed issue, in my state, even before it was legal, CPS wouldn't remove a child over that. They look at it like this: us the child well taken care of. Fed, clothed, housed properly? If yes, then we have much more serious cases to deal with. A report will be filed stating a home visit was made and all is fine. Usually it's on the parents' records for about 5 years before it's sent to long-term storage. Reply, yes, that seems to be what will happen. It's been hard getting answers about next steps because they keep telling them there aren't any. We've never had to deal with anything like this before. It's not like we'll need to know to prepare or anything if a caseworker comes. It's just more the constant threat of it now is causing them dread. Was there a falling out that led to Luis and Jaime's situation? Reply, one of Jessa and her friends had a falling out, and the ex-friend sent Jaime a screenshot of a text where she was saying rude things about Jaime and Lucy. He had confronted Luis, who was telling him not to take it so personally. So Jaime said something equally rude about Jessa. Luis punched him for it. Yes, I mentioned it in my post but not to my son, commenter 2. Welp, you son just nuked his relationship, you won his entire family, so his fiancée achieved her goal of completely isolating him. There's no coming back from calling CPS out of spite. You can keep the door open for your son if you like, but I don't see his siblings having a relationship wow him ever again. Hopefully one day he comes to his senses. Reply, I agree. I can't ever full cut my son off, but his brother can, and I don't blame him. Commenter 3. I'd be telling him the door is open for him, but firmly shut for Jessa until she apologizes and gets the therapy she desperately needs. Reply, nobody has any intention of ever forgiving Jessa. I can only not shut the door on my son, but the hope of reconciliation between the boys is non-existent. It's almost like he died OP on how Lucy felt about Luis's accusations. Reply, it is sad because they were close. Lucy and Luis, and she never said no to giving him a ride unless she was in class 2 at work. There's no public transportation where we are. Well, there is, but it's not convenient, but of course our area is still car-reliant. He was spending quite a bit on Ubers and she knew he was trying to save up to move out. She's been very quiet, of course, lately, but even she's admitted she feels betrayed. Luis was the first person other than her parents to hold, and even be told about Letty. He used to give Jaime money to take Lucy out on dates and watch Letty. They were so close and now might never talk again. Letty asks about him every day and it's killing me. I was not lying. I would truly and honestly give an organ to magically fix this. OP on attending Luis and Jessa's wedding. Reply, we will not be attending. Cyril does not want to but wants to avoid further drama, and Luis is putting a lot of pressure on him. He doesn't want anything worse to happen, but won't be taking pictures after or going to the reception. New update. I don't really know why I'm posting here, but kind of want to get it off my chest, I guess. Jaime is out of town this weekend for a bachelor's party, so it's just been the 4 of us. Yesterday I sent Lucy to take Letty to pick out some mums because I love that little girl. But I cannot bear the soda pop song again. But Luis came up to her at the garden center and apparently started ranting at her about Jaime, as if Lucy herself had no reason to be angry with him, telling her that she should leave him, that he's an asshole, and that Luis is getting the tattoo that they'd both gotten together removed. Lucy doesn't even want to tell Jaime about it because we all know he'll just be pissed off. But I told her shouldn't hide stuff from him. I don't know. I don't even know if I trust my own advice these days. Edit OMG, I can't believe I didn't add the good news. I've been working to talk about good news more, but Cyril and Rosa put an offer on a house and it got accepted. And the best part, it's so close. A 10-minute walk or a 3-minute drive. I knew they were looking, but I had no idea they were going to make an offer. So close but not close enough to be a Marie from Everybody Loves Raymond. My husband keeps joking about how he needs to invest in home goods because I can't stop finding things I think they'll like. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm so sorry for what you and your family are going through. It's hard to see a loved one go on the toxic route and have to remove yourself from them because of it. I hope he comes around soon before it's too late. You are an amazing mom and grandma. Don't forget that. Reply, thank you. It's just infuriating. Luis used to be so thoughtful and considerate. And apparently he just kept saying things like, oh, I know Jaime is angry with me, and Lucy was like, I'm angry with you. And he had no idea why she would be. I'm so devastated. Is there a possibility that Luis has a thing for Lucy and Jessa has suspicions about this? Reply, I really doubt that. He's known her since she was like 14, and he would have been almost 30. Luis isn't like that. Commenter 2, she did good. No point in engaging with him in his current state of mind. But you said Letty was there, and in your previous post you mentioned how she missed him, and it was a shock to suddenly not have him in her life. Did he acknowledge her this time, and how is she doing now in regard to him? I assume that apart from this accidental meeting, nobody has had contact with Luis recently. Is Cyril still going to be his best man? BTW, congrats to them getting the house. Bet you're looking forward to having more grandkids so near. Reply, yes, he apparently acted normal and sweet to Letty. I don't know. I don't know his problem. Cyril will still be in the ceremony, but they don't talk much. And he and Rosa are undecided about kids, but just having them close will be wonderful. Commenter 3. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. I agree it is hard to wrap one's mind around the why of it. I guess that's why you might feel sometimes that it's hard to trust your own judgment advice. But from all you have been writing here, I think you are really doing the best that can be done in the circumstances. Not sure what to think of Cyril's involvement in the ceremony and what kind of message it sends. I remember you saying he is the drama avoider, but is him being the best man really avoiding drama in this case? You mentioned once they're holding STH against him, and I hope this is not a big concern. Please keep us updated. Reddit is usually pastime, but I catch myself checking your profile every now and then because my heart really goes out to you, and I hope for a good outcome for your family. Reply, thank you, yes. Cyril likes avoiding conflict, but honestly it's my youngest son that's begging him just to do it so as not to create more drama. He's not going to the reception or bachelor party or anything. He and Rosa have made other plans that night, and Jaime and Lucy are taking Letty to the Rocky Mountains for the weekend, so none of us will be available. When is the wedding? Reply, okay, stories number 7. Aita for telling my brother he needs to stop getting women pregnant like it's a hobby. IF24 have an older brother M27 who's always been a little too confident for his own good. He's got a solid job, makes good money, and loves to talk about how he takes care of his responsibilities. And to be fair, he does take care of his kids financially, at least. He's got 3 kids by 3 different women, and his current girlfriend of 2 years is pregnant with their 4th. Every time someone mentions it, he acts like it's something to be proud of, like he's building a legacy instead of a mess. My parents baby him way too much. They always go on about how he's stepping up and doing the right thing. But honestly, I'm over it. He's not a bad guy, but he keeps making the same mistake over and over, and everyone just shrugs it off because he's not broke. Mom started talking about how it's a blessing that he's such a devoted father. I couldn't help myself. I said, he's not devoted, he's just consistent at knocking women up at this rate. He'll need a group chat just to schedule Father's Day. The room got quiet. My brother laughed at first, but then he said, you don't understand. I take care of my kids. None of their moms have to struggle, I told him. That's great, but maybe you should stop giving out child support before you run out of checks. Being a good dad doesn't mean you have to keep creating new families. He didn't yell or storm out. He just gave me this annoyed look and said, you really don't get it, and went back to eating. My parents told me later I was out of line, and that I should have kept my mouth shut because he's doing fine. But I don't think he is fine. He's 27 with 4 kids by 4 different women. How's that fine? Aita for telling my brother that just because he can afford his choices doesn't mean he should keep making them? Comments, commenter 1 NTA. I hope he never loses his job or he will be in a pickle. Commenter 2, just because you can afford 4 kids doesn't mean you should collect them like Pokemon. Being responsible means learning from your past, not repeating it. NTA commenter 3, he sounds dumb just like my sperm donor. Does he think he's Nick Cannon or something? Commenter 4, wow, that's unhinged being a good parent. Has nothing to do with sending financial support. Is that what he thinks? He's spreading fatherless kids UTF, stories number 8. My girlfriend won't stop messing with me when I'm asleep. Problem is what the title says, I'm 24. My girlfriend I've a year and a bit is 25. I'm someone who really struggles to go to sleep. Like I have a strict routine that I stick to in order to get my brain to shut off and fall asleep in under an hour of trying, and I do it every night. Since the start of our relationship, my girlfriend has this habit of every time I fall asleep before her, she pokes me, bites me, rubs her hair across my face, sticks her fingers in my butt, the whole 9 yards. The moments I wake up in the middle of the night, she happens to turn over every time and say, "Oh, are you up?" And I realize that I'm waking up because she's doing something to me in my sleep. It's all playful and none of it is malicious, but today I absolutely snapped for the first time. Like 3 to 4 weeks ago, I had a talk with her, and I said something along the lines of, I know where these urges come from, and I love that you want to hang out with me, but please stop messing with me when I'm asleep. It's starting to make me feel uneasy when I try to sleep around you, and I hate the fact that my first subconscious thought when you aren't staying over is that I'm going to get to sleep well. She was very upset about this, not in an angry way, but in a pouty, I'm a bucket of tears type of way. I thought that was the end of it, and I figured that while it hurt to see her like that and I didn't want her to beat herself up over it, maybe letting it sink in would be the best, so she didn't do it anymore. Fast forward to tonight. I fell asleep for the first time in ages, and was going to get like 8 to 9 hours of sleep depending on when the dog woke up. I got woken up less than an hour into my sleep to her poking me in my asshole and rubbing her hair across my face. And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude?" And she started laughing and proceeded to sing and say my name over and over to pester me. And I lost it. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I just said something like, "Why does it bring you so much joy and amusement to fuck with me? I can't feel comfortable trying to sleep around you. I feel awful." But it's true. I don't feel comfortable falling asleep before her now. And because I know that if she wakes up in the middle of the night, she's going to fuck with me. I don't feel comfortable sleeping next to her at all. I don't really know what to do. I don't want to blow things out of proportion. But sleep deprivation does bad things to people. What the fuck do I do? Comments commenter 1. She is sleep torturing you. Wow. Reply. Shit. I don't care if it's torture, but it's definitely not pleasant. The main thing this is making me worried about is like, we've been dating long enough that the conversation of moving in together is going to come up soon. And there's just no way I'm doing that right now. Commenter 2, wanting to wake up your partner because you can't fall asleep or want to spend more time with them is cute only if it happens once in a blue moon. But what she is doing to you is sleep deprivation, a very common method of torture. That is not a healthy relationship. She is also repeatedly sexually assaulting you and hiding it under the guise of cuteness. She might have some issues that are undiagnosed. Please break up with her. And I have a feeling that you should change your locks and phone number because she sounds like someone who does not take no for an answer and definitely does not respect your boundaries. Commenter 3. Okay. The first time she stuck her finger up my butt would be the last. Send her ass packing, trust me. I know it's difficult, but there are billions of women out there. Commenter 4. You're being abused and sexually harassed. Sleep deprivation is a huge issue here. As well as the fact that she's intentionally provoking you. Is she mentally well? Does she have a sleep issue? If not, you should break up, since she clearly doesn't care about what you're saying to her. Reply. To be honest, I don't know about the sexual harassment part, because like, her poking my butt is funny 95% of the time. It's like when I'm walking up the stairs in front of her and she's like, "Gotcha," and then pokes me. The abuse part I'm starting to wonder about though. I always thought abuse was something physical or emotional, but this shit is causing me to underperform at work and oversleep occasionally. Stories number 9. Aita for leaving my boyfriend's birthday dinner after his friends made fun of me. My boyfriend 28M and I 26F have been dating for about 2 years. He is funny, clever, and he is very nice. But when he is with his friends, he becomes a totally different person. His birthday was last week, and he invited me to a dinner with his nearest circle of friends, people whom I do not know very well. I was also a little nervous and dressed well to try to make a good impression. As I sat down, one of his friends made fun of me, saying that I was the silent one who had finally broken out of her cave. All of them laughed, my boyfriend included. Then the other one was saying something such as, "She must have made you come here instead of playing the game, huh?" I attempted to laugh it off, but it continued. They made fun at me regarding my work. "Oh, so you work at home. Must be nice to do nothing all day," and even about my food order, my boyfriend just smirked and said, "She is a sensitive girl, guys. Don't make her cry." I went to use the bathroom. But as I returned, they were still discussing me. I informed my boyfriend that I didn't feel comfortable, and I was going to go home. He rolled his eyes and told me to not to make a scene. So I left quietly in the evening. He wrote to me that I had humiliated him by leaving and ruined his birthday dinner. I said to him he should have defended me. "You must know how to laugh at a joke," he said. His friends now believe that I am too emotional, and he has not spoken to me in 2 days. NTA? Comments. Commenter 1 NTA. This is the kind of teasing that only good friends and family members can engage successfully, because they know each other's boundaries. What happened to you is just juvenile cruelty aimed at the new kid. It was clear from your description that you weren't reacting well to the banter, and instead of recognizing that, your BF's friends kept it up, and he did nothing to defend you. This is not the man for you. A real man who cared about you would have interceded to defend you. Reply. I was already feeling nervous since I am always nervous when meeting new people. And he was aware of that. He swore that he would stick by me. But as soon as we arrived there, he laughed with them as though everything was all right. I was leaving the restaurant shaking and embarrassed. He replied later that I made him look bad, as though my feelings were not important in any way. It actually opened my eyes to how little he care. Commenter 2, NTA. Those jokes came from things he said about you. And he joined in instead of standing up for you. That's not love or respect. Reply, and there is more. He had been making fun of his friends earlier that week on the phone about things that I'm actually insecure about, such as my anxiety and how I speak. So I was already stressed even before the meeting. I could not take hearing the same thing over and over at the table, him laughing at it, and it really broke me. I felt that I was even not a person to him. I don't believe that I have ever felt so small in my life. Commenter 3. Just curious how you've been with him for 2 years, and this is his closest group of friends, and you don't know them that well? They were being rude, and even if they're just trying to be playful, they need someone how to read the room. Sounds like he's been saying things about you to them to give him this ammunition. You said yourself that when he's with them, he's a different person. No, that's who he really is, when he's with you. He's a fake person. Commenter 4. No, you're not. He let his friends mock you and then blamed you for leaving when you were clearly uncomfortable. A good partner steps in, or at least checks on you, not joins in. You didn't ruin anything. He did by not standing up for you. Stories number 10. Aita for not wanting to lend out my dress to stranger. I 29F pre-ordered a summer dress in Jan/Feb from an independent designer 20ish F online in another country. She accepted around 20 orders at that time and welcomed my minor alternation for the design. I paid in full up front. It was expected to be done around August, as mine had more deviation from the original. So, in my head, it is more of custom design. I asked for update in August, and she said it will be ready in 2 weeks, i.e. around September. I had no issue with the delay since I knew it was handmade slowly. Afterwards, I saw her posted my dress in September. I can recognize from the color and the design, but no update on shipment. I thought maybe it wasn't ready. Then today, 7OCT, she posted a video of her being interviewed and put my dress on someone else for photographing. I emailed her about the dress, and she told me it was ready. But she decided for it to be featured in the interview before posting to me. I am quite upset about the lack of consent. My thought is, it is her creation design as much as it is my property. It is not some dress on the rack in H&M. I paid for it in full before it was even made. I didn't pay to dress someone else up. I paid to wear it myself. Why would I share wardrobe with strangers? If it was a friend family, I would have no problem sharing. But I do not know the interviewer who wore the dress. I do not benefit from this at all. The only thing I got is delay. The lack of consent made me feel uncomfortable and disrespected as someone who supported her with actual money and actions. The risk of someone else staining, damaging the dress is small but does exist. Do you think I own the dress? Am I the asshole who think just because I paid I owned it all? Or do I only own it after it is shipped? Do I process the right to say no if she'd ask beforehand? What are you thought? Comments, Commenter 1 NTA. Once you paid in full for a made-to-order item, that specific dress stopped being her property. It's not like borrowing a sample off a rack. It was a commissioned piece. She absolutely should have asked before putting it on someone else. Even for marketing. Commenter 2, honestly. I think I'd be okay with it if it wasn't already 2 months past the promised date. Like, I get you gotta advertise your work and you have to do that with someone's clothes, but she made you wait even longer for a dress you were supposed to have in summer while it's well into fall because she decided to use your dress without permission. Commenter 3. NTA. I used to work in the bridal industry, and the clamps chart pins used to make a dress not made for your body fit perfectly for photos, and the likes can often damage the material. Not to mention, putting it on someone else risks all kinds of things. Rips, tears, stains, body perspiration, carelessness by the model, etc. A sample dress should have been used. Most designers have a sample of each dress to use specifically for marketing, especially since you specifically customized your order. She should have used a standard size dress for the interview that she could have sold later at a discount should anything happen, and packed yours to send as soon as it was ready, especially since there was already a delay. To me, this feels a little unprofessional, especially with the risks involved. Reply. Actually, I thought about this exactly, because if it was someone's custom-made wedding dress, I would not think it is in any way acceptable other than the bride to wear and showcase it first, and make up other stuffs do stain dresses. Commenter 3. Reply. Damaging a product that's already paid for is a risk not too many people would make, especially seeing that large window of work time it took to make it. It's unprofessional that they didn't take this into account. If the worst happened and the dress was damaged in the interview and needed to be fixed, it's basically throwing all her overhead costs in the trash when she has to replace or refund. Commenter 4. You're definitely not the asshole. Your reaction makes total sense. You paid in full for what was basically a custom piece, not a sample or loaner. Once she accepted your payment, that dress was ethically yours, even if she still had it in hand. Using it for a public interview or photo shoot without asking you first really crosses a professional boundary. It's not about the delay, It's about consent and communication, which are the basics in client-artist relationships. You're absolutely justified in being upset. A polite but firm message like, "I understand you wanted to feature your work, but this piece was a custom order I paid for in full. I would have appreciated being asked before it was used for promotion. Please let me know when it will be shipped," would be perfectly reasonable. Stories number 11. AITJ for refusing to take my niece to school anymore after my sister kept making me late for work. My sister 34F and I 29F live about 10 minutes apart for the past few months. I've been driving her 10-year-old daughter to school on my way to work as a favor since it's along my route. She asked, because she wanted a few extra minutes in the morning. At first, it was fine, but lately she's been running late every single morning. I'll text her I'm outside and she'll respond, "Just 5 more minutes." Those 5 minutes often turn into 15-20. I've been late to work 4 times this month because of it. Last week, I told her I can't keep waiting and if she's not ready by 7:30, I'll just leave. She got defensive and said I'm being inflexible and that she's a single mom who needs help yesterday. I did leave when they weren't ready at 7:30. She called me screaming, saying I abandoned my niece and made her late for school. Now my mom's guilt-tripping me about how family helps family. I love my niece, but I'm tired of being taken advantage of. AITJ for refusing to take her anymore if they can't respect my time. Comments. Commenter 1 NTA. Tell her and your mom you're not willing to risk your job because she wants a few extra minutes in the morning. Her issues are not your problem. Commenter 2 not gonna lay, you're definitely NTA, fam. Repeat BS ain't your circus or your monkeys. Time's a precious resource, and it doesn't sound like it's being respected. Setting boundaries is healthy and so needed here. At the end of the day, you're doing them a favor. Not the other way around. Hold your ground. Your sis needs a wake-up call, literally. Commenter 3 NTJ. Tell your sister's mommy that your sister's constant inability to be on time has cost you big time at work by being late. You cannot wait for her anymore because it is becoming a problem at work, and you would really love to not become unemployed. Tell the golden child's mom that unless she wants to make up those funds, insurance, and all the benefits of your job, then either your sister's mommy can come and take her grandchild to school or sister can take her to school. Then tell mommy that your niece is not your child or responsibility. You have tried to help, but sister can't even help you out a single bit by making sure she is on time. You feel like your sister is trying to sabotage your job. Yeah, lay it on thick. Commenter 4 NTA, you've got your own job. You're already doing them a favor, so they should make it easier. Stories number 12. Aita for not siding with my wife over our son's ex-girlfriend's pregnancy. Our son just turned 16, had a girlfriend, she's 16. Almost 17, but they broke up about a month ago. About 3 weeks ago, we were informed by her parents that she is pregnant. She is slightly showing. The dates line up with my son's relationship. My wife and I went into full panic mode. We waited a couple days before telling our son, who didn't know. He immediately said, "It's not mine. I never fucked her." I didn't believe him as I know he is active. He did the sensible thing and asked me for protection. However, he kept on saying they never did it. He said he cheated on her. I had a heart-to-heart with him, and he is an absolute shithead, but I began to believe him. He said he always raps and he has asked for restocks. My wife, on the other hand, still didn't believe him. Both families met. My wife started the conversation just accepting that our son is the father and was trying to figure out a solution, funding, etc. My son spoke up saying it's not his baby as they never had sex. He was genuinely angry. Then he made a comment that I'm going to rephrase. Apparently they only ever did a certain act which can't result in a baby, and it was unsatisfactory, so he never went any further with her. An absolute shithead, and we raged at him over it. His ex-girlfriend admits they rarely did it, but explained the event, the when and where, and I will say it was believable too. I know he's a complete liar. I know he is an absolute dog, but I believe him still. My wife, however, is angry with me for playing into his nonsense. She said I'm part of the boy culture. She said children born to teen parents are more likely to be teen parents, and we were both 17 when my wife got pregnant. She said I'm worsening the situation by not living in reality, and she is left to figure out what to do on her own. To her point, I am hands-off on further meetings with the other family. I don't believe we should have those discussions until it's proven he's the dad, Aita. Also, this is really ranty. I'm sorry, but I needed to leave off some steam just to add. Her parents don't want to do a paternity test until after the child is born. They said it could harm the baby, but apparently it's harmless, so I don't know. So we cannot get a test done before then. Courts can't order one till birth. Another addition, I'm in the UK, relevant comments. About getting paternity test, reply. When I brought up a paternity test, the other family got offended. They thought I was implying something. The family said they'll do a paternity test when the child is born. They don't trust doing a paternity test prior to birth for safety reasons. I'm no medical professional, but apparently it's safe. About getting a non-invasive prenatal paternity test, reply. You cannot get a court order to get a paternity test for an unborn child here anyway. A solicitor won't be able to do anything until the baby is born. I have a great relationship with my boy, love him to bits. About his son's ex's parents, reply. No idea about their vax stance, but they are uber religious, pro-life, etc. They look down on us constantly. I'd say they hated their daughter was with such a boy. About his son, history of lying, reply. Oh, I've had many crosswords, but from what he describes, he's saying he's playing safe. Her parents don't want to do a paternity test until the baby is born for safety concerns. My wife is fine with that. Apparently it's not unsafe, though. I feel I know when he lies, given he does it so often. I often see him lying to his mother, and I can tell it's a lie, and he'll admit that it is a lie. If he isn't lying, he deserves someone in his corner. About what sexual acts the son did with his ex-girlfriend according to him, reply. From what he describes, his lower member was nowhere near her area. It feels really strange talking about their stuff. I've asked. They said they will not allow any risk. I said it wasn't a risk. They said no. It wasn't anal, it was oral only apparently. It happened twice, but he said she wasn't good, so he didn't even finish. And I'm going to bang my head against a wall after typing that. About what advice OOP give to his son, and what he thinks of his actions. Reply, thanks. He's been warned by me not to even talk to her in school. Avoid her completely, he said gladly. My worry is more with what my wife will pay for or whatever. He is an absolute AH to her. I've even stated how much of a shithead he is on this post. About his wife possibly sending money to her son's ex-girlfriend and what she would do in case of his son not being the father. Reply, we both have a separate account and then a joint one. I've asked her those questions. She said he's lying. I said if he isn't, and she said but he is. I said let's say there's a 99% chance he's lying. If that 1% happens, how will she mend it with him? She said I'm being naive. And it's that absolute belief that he is lying that is really irritating. Like I believe him, but I'm not certain. He could be lying, but I don't think he is. She can't sign his name to a birth cert, thankfully. But I did say if it turns out he isn't the father, and she does anything that will impact him, she will be left all alone. We've dated since we were 15, and it's the first time I've lost a lot of respect for her. I do still love her, though. If he's not the dad, they are done. There is no way back. Their relationship is already so fucked. It's very sad. She's so sure because she knows our son. A betting man would bet on him lying. She thinks I'm being totally naive about his son getting married with the ex-girlfriend in case of him being the father, and the fact that OOP got his wife pregnant when they were teens. Reply, they won't be getting married, rest assured. Well, we got married because we were kind of forced. Luckily for me, I love my wife. She is my best friend despite current events. Normally with issues we've always been on the same page, but this has been different. Saying that, I also know we were lucky in that we actually liked each other. Many of those types of marriages aren't good, so I wouldn't want my son pushed into anything like that, but I would expect him to be there for his child as I was for him. I would expect him to wisen up sharply, like the amount of growing I had to do quickly was insane, etc. About his and his wife's treatment of their son, reply. I could understand if she said, look, he's a shithead. I think he's lying and the baby is his. What I cannot understand is that she can't even consider the possibility that he's telling the truth, or a gray area between as you mentioned. Like I believe he's telling the truth, but I'll freely admit, if I was a betting man, I'm probably safer to bet that he's lying. Believe it, by all means, but let's not rush into anything without proof. I only started calling him a shithead about a year ago when he was being a shithead, but in my defense that's just the way we talk. Usually when I call him it he'll start laughing or whatever, and TBF fuck is pretty common here. If the son knows OOP cares about him, reply, he knows. We do actually have a good relationship. He probably overshares a bit too much, if anything. I think it's the way you say it, shithead, too. And it's just our way of talking. I'm sure the experts would disagree with it, but yeah. If the son did drugs, reply 6 months ago. He was hanging out with friends of friends, and he said they were passing around something drugs. He swore down he didn't smoke it. I did believe him because why would he say it otherwise? His mother did not. She drug tested him, Apparently he was drug-free. One thing that we are lucky about is that he's so competitive at football that he doesn't involve himself in underage drinking, smoking, etc. About what the son said to the ex-parents, reply, because it's weird to say what he actually said given he's my son, if you want the actual quote. She only ever sucked him, and he said she was so teeth that he made her stop. It was like rubbing his dick along sandpaper. Is that better for you? Update 1. I didn't think I'd be coming back so soon, and this is probably more suited to an advice sub rather than an sub. Cursing, sexual references, etc. Short story. Text message that backs up her story. Another meeting. Went worse than the first. He's not coming home. Mother-son relationship fed. And husband-wife relationship fed. His ex has text messages to a friend around the time in which she discussed my son's large, with a mark organ and the type of sex they had. The messages align with what she says and go beyond the oral that he had said. My wife gloated, but anyway. My wife invited them over without my knowledge. It was carnage. Our son and I were sitting on one side of the table. He told his mum that she should sit on the other side, and he wouldn't start a conversation until she moved over. She eventually did. Our son was very quiet at the beginning. He admitted he has the mark and is large, something I never needed to know, but he maintained it was just oral. He started winking at his ex's mother. When she asked why he was winking at her, he said, "Your husband is gayer than Philip Schofield, so I'm sure you'd like a go on my large." He turns to his ex's dad, says Philip. His name is not Philip, it's not for you. Followed by a gay slur. I was speechless at it all. My wife said to my son to stop denying it. My wife started planning again. I said I'd still want DNA preferably now, but immediately at birth. They stuck to birth. My son spoke up. He said that this is not how this is going to work. He told them that they get the test done now, or he will refuse to get tested until he's finished college, so 6 years' time approx. He said courts won't expect maintenance from a kid. And in that time the slut who gave birth to him, my wife, will have spent so much money and will love a kid that is unrelated to her. He said hopefully that spirals the slut into a very dark place. They said they'd just court order it. He said a court cannot force him, some autonomy thing. He seemed confident, and turns out he's right. He was walking out, and his mother grabbed his arm to come back in. He said, "Get your dirty hand off me, you salat." He said he'd fight back if she didn't let go. I told her to let him go. He said he was staying at a friend's. He's been staying there a bit. I went out and said I'd drive him. He agreed. In the car journey, he said he knows I don't believe him anymore, but he didn't her. He said school is horrible, social media is horrible, and your wife, he didn't call her mum, is a bitch. I said you can speak about your mum like that. He said she's a woman that gave birth to him and minded him, that's all. He said she doesn't care how he is coping, she's never even asked. When we got to his friends, he cried a bit. He said it's nothing to do with me, but he won't be home much anymore. He said hopefully I'd still hang out with him. I know his friend's father from the pub. He started talking to me. I was gonna give him money because my son is over there a lot, but he refused. He said my son told him everything. He's a counselor. He said girls can exaggerate to friends. Boys can lie. He said he knows my son since he was tiny, and he believes him. He also said he might have more information than I do. No idea? He warned that we are going to lose him if we are not careful. I went home. I told my wife if she so much as says one word to me or our son about the baby without a test being done, we are over. If she doesn't apologize to our son in the next few days and beg him for forgiveness, we are done. I sadly do mean it. It wasn't heat of the moment. By her reaction, I think we will separate for now. I do love her childhood sweethearts, but my son is my son. It is not a matter of believing him. I probably don't. It's a matter of being there for him. He was always a shithead, but his behavior is erratic and almost asking for help. It's worrying how quickly he has changed. He is the priority for me right now. Counseling and plenty of it. Relevant comments of the update about his son's words and the need of being coddled. Reply: how he is speaking to everyone is wild and is unacceptable. Philip Schofield, and the slur was an awful thing to say, but as much of a shithead as he was, this is very out of character for him. Maybe it's coddling him, but I think he's at his wit's end. A cry for help. It was shocking to see. Counseling and plenty of it. His friend's father is a counselor therapist. He said he needs a safe home and basically to be coddled. He needs to be told it's not right, but not in an angry way. I did tell him it's not right. He said be strict on him, and it'll be a dark watch or something to that effect about his son's behavior towards women and potential red flag for future relationships. Reply, because for one, I don't think he acts that way to his friend or his family. When we were alone in the car, he was normal to me. He was crying and upset. But he didn't have the cockiness he had in the meeting. His wife died. But he has 2 daughters. I asked him what he's like, and he said he's mostly in his room upset. He said when he comes out of his room he'll ask what chores he'll do. I asked about his daughters. He said they get along fine. He and his friend walked his youngest daughter to school a couple of times, and he asks her spellings along the way apparently. Some comments were given a hard time to OOP, and one of the reasons for that is because he thinks his wife should apologize to their son, and he explained why. Reply, I don't trust him, and he's still fine to me. I do think it's bad of her to full-on say you are a liar. It's your kid. Take responsibility. To be so sure she's not even talking about DNA. I also think some of her words were cutting, disgrace, disappointment, etc. I think the biggest one, and he said it himself, is at no point did she ask, how was he, how's the bullying at school, etc. And I think she should appreciate that he's already getting so much shit he doesn't need to be called a disappointment, etc. And have the coldness at home. I think an apology is needed from her. I think he, at some point, will need to do a lot more than just apologize to her. But at the end of the day, he's broken and fragile. It was scary watching his behavior. A totally different boy from a month ago. I think he needs to know people are in his corner. He is a real therapist, but I agree there's a conflict of interest. I said we all need therapy. He said he'd do it with me but not with my wife. About why he's taking easy on his son comparing to his wife. Reply, I would imagine he's gone so far that what he will need to do will be discussed between him and a counselor that he will get. I don't think I'm capable of suggesting what that may be, I really don't. This isn't bunking off school, etc. I actually think her behavior is disgusting. Not as disgusting, but disgusting nonetheless. Let's take it to the extreme. Let's say he's had suicidal thoughts, and I don't think it's a total stretch given how he seems and his counselor's comments. He's having a rough time in school. He's not the dad I think he is. His mother calls him a disgrace, disgusting, etc. before he ever called her a S%. He believes DNA now would sort it all out, but his mother won't even push for it because he's guilty. He then sits down and watches a group of people discuss his manhood. And despite all this, she hasn't asked him once if he's okay. Not even out of courtesy, and that's worst case scenario. I get that. I cannot get on board at all with her behavior or his. But there is one who needs me more right now. My wife has friends at work. Friends outside work. She has this new family. She's going to be a grandmother for. He has 2 friends. That's it. In his head. That's all. Update 2. My wife and I separated, but we are on good terms. I think she understands why I moved out, but we still want to deal with the situation differently. I'm living in a flat with my son. He seems happier. The good news, his ex's parents last Thursday agreed to do a paternity test. That is booked for this Wednesday. I don't know what brought on this sudden change. I told my son they had agreed. He asked to meet his ex and her parents to apologize. He thanked and apologized to his ex's parents for what he said. They were very good to accept the apology, although I do think he deserved an apology too. He said to his ex that he's not starting anything, but that they both know it's not his. She still insisted it's his. I asked if maybe he wanted to apologize to his mother, or at least have a discussion with her. He said he won't apologize to her, and he won't forgive her even if she apologizes to him. He said he hates her and always will. That's still an utter mess. He won't speak to her. If she visits our flat, he leaves. Saturday night I told him I won't be angry if he has been lying. But if he is, I'd prefer him to be honest, rather than find out by the test. He again said it's not his. Quickly after that, he asked me to promise I wouldn't get mad if he told the truth. He said he doesn't want labels. But the reason it went no further with his ex is because he can't stay up with girls, and he uses the condoms, but not with girls. I couldn't respond as he went to bed. I told him Sunday morning I'm fine with him whatever he is. Admittedly, it was a surprise. I did ask about the Philip Schofield comment he made against his ex's dad, and he said nothing like that ever happened. He said it's a guy his own age. I didn't push it any more than that. He wants it kept quiet, so here I am as I can't tell others. But it'd be a shock at this point if it's his. Relevant comments of the update too. About the surprise of this new update? OP. It's a shock, to be honest. But the way the last 2 months or so have gone, it's not much of a big deal right now. I don't care if he's gay. I'm gonna need a holiday after all this, though. About getting the son and his wife into therapy. OP. Counseling has a long waiting list. He is on the list. In the meantime, I've made him speak to this org I was told about. It's like a helpline, but it's manned by student psychologists, and similar. It's not therapy, it's just someone to speak to. He will still need counseling, and I think he'd probably welcome it. About how his wife lost him and his son in this situation. OP. I very much disagree and hate how my wife has dealt with this. But to me, this separation is temporary. Even if it's not, she'll never lose me. I love her, and she's been my best friend. If the counselor knew his son is gay, OP. That's good thinking. But that comment was about how badly my son was coping with the situation. He told that man he wanted others to suffer in the way he was, and stuff as for our son. Hopefully that can be mended, but I'm not so confident about sext and the need to reinforce that OP. That's true. He has always asked for condoms. He did say he uses them always with the guy, and neither of them go with others, at some stage. I'll have the talk with him again, but that rest comes first. About the possibility of the ex-girlfriend's father flirted or hit his son. OP, the Philip Schofield comment worried me a little, but I doubt it. My son said no, he never was like that. He just said it to hurt and embarrass him like they and his mum did during the meeting. If the son's relationship with his mother was always rocky. Oop, they had a good relationship, a bit of a mama's boy, but he was always wild. She does still believe he's lying. She is still, from what I know, plussing for her grandchild. She is unaware of the gay part, not my thing to tell. If his wife knows their son is gay, and if she would be homophobic. OP, she wouldn't be homophobic. He said I'm the only one who he's told. I think she just broke his entire image of her. About being gay not be an excuse for his behavior. OP, being gay doesn't absolve his comments. Regardless of result, he will still be getting counseling. Apologizing was a good step. I don't think he's a misogynist. In the same way, you don't think he's a homophobe. I think he said misogynistic and homophobic things to lash out. Absolutely wrong. If the DNA test shows that his son is the father, if it turns out to be his, he will have to step up and take responsibility. He will have to a lot of bridge building. I'd be very annoyed that he lied, but I don't think I'd regret how I dealt with it. Stories number 13. My F-26 ex-boyfriend M27 said he was going to propose for the last 4 years. When I finally found the courage to break it off, he did. I don't know if I should give it another chance. We started dating in 9th grade after he asked me out at Winter Formal, 2012. Went as friends but quickly hit it off and were together by New Year's. From there, we got to a lot of milestones fast, and honestly, we both figured we'd be married by 2017-2018. The excuse at the time was, we're young and still in school. I finished college in 3 years. Him in 4. Both have our dream jobs and had a combined income of $144K a year. We have loans, but none of them are atrocious, and we lived in a home he inherited. That said, our life felt perfect by the time I was 22. That's when he started randomly inquiring about my ring size. Dream wedding, whether I like gold or silver jewelry more, etc. 22 went by and no engagement, no big deal. 23 comes and it's same thing. I'm thinking it's any day now. 24 passes and the conversation becomes tiring. I started to ask what he's waiting for. He claims, the right moment hasn't come yet. It took me till age 25 to realize he often used the promise to do it when I was upset at him for something. By 26, I told myself that he had until he turned 27, his birthday was closer. After that, I'm walking away, I got my own space ahead of time and followed through. The separation was peaceful. He didn't protest much, if at all. Last week, about 2 months later, he showed up at my place. We shared locations a couple years back and just never turned them off. I completely forgot about it. I wasn't creeped out or anything once he explained how he found me. After some catching up, he pulled out the box, all while sitting in the couch across from me. It wasn't the romantic on one knee, and I can't help but feel I forced his hand. This feels like a here damn more than anything else. He says I'm overthinking, and he didn't realize what he had until he lost it. He never knew that marriage was that important to me. I kind of want to get back with him, but I don't want him to resent me and later on say he was forced to get married or anything. TLDR, my ex proposed to me after almost 13 years of dating. However, this comes after I dumped him. I worry that he isn't sincere in his wish to marry me and will resent me eventually. Comments. Commenter 1. He never knew that marriage was that important to me. Bullshit, he knew. He just didn't think you'd actually be willing to leave him over it. In fact, he still doesn't, or he'd be taking responsibility for things coming to this instead of trying to make it sound like your fault somehow. He thinks if he gives you this ring and you come back, he can go right back to stringing you along with reasons it's not the right moment to set a date for the wedding and start planning in earnest. Let him sort through why this hasn't been a priority for him, or just keep playing ignorant on his own, and keep moving forward with your life. Commenter 2. If he used it as a promise to quiet you when you were upset, he definitely knew how much marriage meant to you. Commenter 3. He used the promise of marriage to manipulate you during fights. That's a huge red flag. If it's not the promise of marriage, it'll be something else. You've been dating for almost half your life. You don't know what other relationships are like. Hell, you barely know what you're like by yourself. Spend some time being a single person for a while and get to know yourself. You'll be better off for it. Reply, thank you. Was thinking of going to the cafe by myself for the first time today. Commenter 4 OP, be single for a while, at least a year? You can date him if you want, but you have given him all of your teens and most of your 20s. You deserve some time alone to discover who you are without him. You are worried that he would regret marrying you, but maybe you would regret marrying this man who needed you to walk away to discover how he really felt about you. I don't think that is the romantic gesture many might frame it to be. Hi all. Earlier today, I made a post asking how I should navigate this situation. A short summary would be that my BF of almost 13 years and I separate after the idea of marriage was dangled in my face for 4 or 5 years. We remained separated for 2 months before he suddenly reached out, proposing. Many suggested I wait, but I already knew what the correct choice was. A lot of hard truths being pointed out to me made it hard to ignore. That said, I had the ring. I never told him yes, rather, I don't know. But he insisted I keep it. Given I decided I needed to move on, I wanted to meet so that I could give him his ring back. He agreed to at first, but was insistent on it being at either my place or his. I was already at the park with the ring in my car and just wanted a neutral meeting place. So I said no. He argued that it must not be that important then. So I said, okay, I'll give the ring your mom when I have the chance. He didn't agree to meet, but this did make him FaceTime me. So we spoke that way. I was okay with that. The call started with him trying to negotiate a meeting location for a moment or two. Once he gave up, I told him I had questions about our breakup period. He told me I live in the past, but quickly backtracked when I said, okay, never mind, and attempted to hang up. He told me I wouldn't like the answer to some stuff, and he's right. He admitted that he saw 4 women during the 2 months, 2 of them being a threesome. He alleged to have wanted that experience before marrying me. He also claimed that he felt inferior to me in the recent years because of how put together I am. As if he's much different, I was in shock. I'd spent these last 2 months alone and trying to heal while he's having threesomes. It hurt, but it felt more like a disgust hurt than a betrayal one. Not because of the threesome, but because he thought he could just come back when he was done having fun. He asked me to come back to his place. He said, the kids 2 goldfish miss me. I told him that I can't get back with him. I need to experience something new just like he did. He's all I've ever known. But saying this upset him and might have given me some real insight into how he felt. He called me selfish. I'm always thinking about myself. He brought up a time I went to the gym on his birthday, early in the morning before proceeding to spend all day with him. He said I constantly make unilateral decisions, like this one. He accused me of being with another guy and said that's why I don't want him to come over. I should have hung up earlier. My choice was already made. Once he'd known I was set in not rekindling, he was only looking to hurt my feelings. My father offered to return the ring so that I don't have to, and I've been advised to call the police if he shows up at my place again. Despite this, I feel good. I got some answers and saw what happened when he didn't get his way. Again, I appreciate the advice. Commenter 1. You handled it extremely well and did the right thing. Consider yourself you dodged a huge bullet. I do wish you the best going forward. Commenter 2. He told you all that to hurt you because he saw how great you are doing right now without him while he is miserable. He thought he had you. Live your best life. His loss. Commenter 3. Keep this post saved somewhere you can easily access. In fact, go a step further and detail everything from your conversation that you remember. Anything he said, anything you said, and especially how you felt. Something tells me this won't be the last time your ex tries to reach out. At some point, doubt will kick in, and you will wonder if you did the right thing. Trust yourself. You are doing the right thing. Be proud of yourself for loving yourself enough to know you deserve better. And if you start to doubt your choice, pull out this post and any other reminder that of who your ex is. Good luck. Commenter 4. You sound like you have a great head on your shoulders. Honestly, girl, he's such a prick, and I'm sorry that it hurts. I know everyone is going to say you deserve better, and you do. But remember that it's also okay to be mad and sad about it. Even if he ever does grow up, he wasted your time, energy, your feelings, and your respect. Cheers to when this becomes just a funny story. Stories number 14. I 29F think my SO30M is poisoning me, but I am not sure, and I don't know what to do. I am a generally fit, active, and healthy 29F who gets sick only maybe once a year and lasts at most 2 days before I'm back on my feet. I've been with my SO30M for over a year now, and we haven't had any major fights at all. However, starting 5 months ago or so, my SO has been sending me food that either he or his family has prepared, and also various supplements, which I take from time to time and call me crazy. But I've noticed my health start to decline. I'm less able to work out, and I've gotten sick frequently. Note that I've been cooking and eating my own food all this time. I don't eat deliveries or whatnot, and have not fallen sick at all. Also note that he and his fam can cook. This isn't those amateurish cooking food poisoning kind of thing. My SO has access to both hospital supplies and agricultural supplies. His fam has versatile professions. I've taken a stool test one time. I got sick, but that came back normal, so I thought that I might just be overthinking it. I have absolutely no way of knowing for sure. Nonetheless, I have gotten sick again, and I ordered some delivery. The next day, I felt much better. However, my SO brought over some more food the next day, which I ate, and lo and behold, I got a bit sicker the next day. As for the motive, I do not know at all. I'm not parasitic and shower them with gifts regularly to acknowledge and reciprocate their goodwill. I'm keeping them from finding out my suspicions, but yeah, how should I proceed? TLDR, I think I'm being poisoned by my SO as I've started feeling progressively sicker ever since he started bringing me food and supplements. Edit, no, I do not have food intolerance or food allergies. The food he brings are standard dishes I have eaten from other sources in the past. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The next day you're feeling sick. Go to an ER and explain the situation. Maybe they'll do extra tests so you can figure out what's going on. If they're poisoning you or not, this is a change that should be figured out. Reply, but it doesn't cause me to be really sick. Just some kind of nauseating inconvenience and weakness. Not really ER-worthy. Commenter 2. Urgent care then. But whether this is poisoning, an allergy, or something else, it is consistent and involves your health, and you need to figure out what is going on. Commenter 3. I would stop eating the food they give you, period. Go to UPCP and explain the situation and ask them to test you. Update. In the past, I asked what I can do with the relationship if I had a nagging sense that either my SO or his family was poisoning me. The reason for this nagging sense was that I consistently experienced 2 episodes of food poisoning symptoms that progressed 100% exactly the same way. Chills, headaches, and becoming bedridden, all 3 to 4 days after consuming the food. Some Redditors said that maybe I needed to get help, to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, or to get therapy, that it was all in my mind. I am well familiar with Reddit's or the internet overall misogyny, but I gave everything the benefit of the doubt. My personality just makes me this way. Some Redditors even commented that this must be fake or that I must be trolling. My post was then locked down and I couldn't reply anymore. More helpful Redditors told me to simply not eat the food prepared for me. Sure, except it does nothing for the relationship aspect. Update. After several months, my ex finally admitted to it. The way I found out was when I confronted my ex outright. Although he tried deflecting and gaslighting at the start, I firmly kept pressing and he finally admitted to it. It turns out that his mother had been lacing the food with some chemical compound from their farm. From the original post, his mother one day started packing food for me, and I started getting sick. At first, I thought it was COVID. However, when I went to see the doctor, he said outright that what I had was not COVID. Furthermore, tests concluded I in fact did not have COVID. Then I got sick again, and the progression of the sickness went exactly the same way. Exactly the same. The symptoms and the duration, by this time. I definitely felt something was up, after days of just throwing the food prepared for me, and not getting sick ever again. When my ex came over, I finally confronted him, as usual. He tried to weasel his way out, but I put my foot down. He admitted that his mother did not like me, that she thought I was taking him away from her. The conversation went something like this. Me what? Take you away from her? What does that even mean? Him, I don't know me. But her conclusion is to poison me? My ex just turned and looked away, and stopped making eye contact. I felt a nagging sense that something wasn't right and didn't make much sense. Me? So why did you say anything all this time? Him, I told her to stop. Me, and how do we know she stopped? At this point, he was shocked. His shock shocked me. Something was definitely wrong. Me. I stopped eating the food you guys have been preparing for me and just threw them out instead. I haven't had any problems since. He didn't say anything. Me. But why? Why all this? You knew actually at this point, I just wanted everything to be done with. But I knew I had to keep pressing to get the answers I wanted to find closure. After a while, he finally admitted he was the one who wanted it. He wanted a way out of the relationship. He had started casually conversing with another woman and said that he maybe wanted to be with her. His conclusion was to have his mom prepare food and lace them with chemicals from the farm. What the fuck was I hearing? Me, so why need to poison me? Why not just tell me? He thought that if I was sick long enough, he would find an excuse to say the relationship wasn't working. What the actual fuck? At this point, it went without saying that I was beyond just upset. This was a fucking crime being admitted to. He also said he never thought I would be that sick, but that I would just be lethargic and felt overwhelmed. He expected me to break up with him too. Well, that I did anyway, motherfucker. He pleaded with me to not call the cops on him or his mother. I said, I'll think about it, and made him leave my place. The audacity of this fucker. I have since broken up with him and moved on with my life. Fuck that asshole, TLDR. Had nagging sense something was wrong. Was proven right by not avoiding but rather confronting the person in question. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He'll do this to someone else if you don't call the cops on him. Reply, I do have plans. But I honestly don't really want to deal with any more of this shit. Commenter 2. Don't wait too long. I know you are trying to heal, but you need to go to the cops like yesterday. They need to be able to collect evidence like yesterday. Commenter 3. Oh hell no. Call the cops. That is so criminal. Commenter 4. I came here to say this. In my small town, a teenage girl would make curried egg sandwiches for her parents for lunch, who would get violently ill afterwards. She eventually did it to one of their workers as well, who went to hospital extremely unwell. Turns out she was lacing their sandwiches with Roundup to poison her parents over an argument they had. The police were called against her parents' wishes and she was charged. Stories number 15. Aita for throwing my sister and her boyfriend out after what they did in my kitchen. I'm 31 and I live alone. I take pride in my place. It's small but spotless. Smells good? Everything in order? My younger sister, 27, asked if she and her boyfriend could crash at mine for a few days while their apartment was being fumigated. I said sure, family's family. The first night was fine. The second night I woke up around 2 a.m. because I heard something in the kitchen. I thought they were just getting food, but then I heard noises, not like conversation, not like cooking either. The kind of noises that make your stomach turn when you realize what's happening. I walked out and found them half naked on my kitchen counter. The same counter where I eat, the same one where I make my coffee every morning. They froze. He laughed and she just said, "We thought you were asleep." I lost it. I told them both to get dressed and get the hell out. They started arguing that it was natural, that I was overreacting, and that everyone does it. I told them I don't care if everyone in the world does it, not in my house. Not on the place where I prepare food. Also, days later I realized that this thing I had just below where they were had broken at one corner. They left, but the next day my mom called me crying, saying I humiliated my sister and kicked her out in the middle of the night like an animal. I told her they were acting like animals. Now the family group chat is a mess. Half of them think I'm disgusting for not handling it privately, and the other half say they would have done worse. I scrubbed that counter for an hour and still feel like I can't touch it. Aita for throwing them out immediately. Comments. Commenter 1. You did handle it privately. Your sister got everyone else involved. You are not TAH. Commenter 2. NTA it's not their home. So Ray shouldn't be doing that on someone else's property. Commenter 3. There is a family chat about your sister having sex on your kitchen counter? Commenter 4, ew no, this is nasty. On the effing countertop? Oh hell no, and who are these idiots that think this is okay? Handle it privately? Yeah, these apes had to get it on in the kitchen. NTA, but any family members who think this is okay are the assholes. Stories number 16. Aita for threatening to kick my brother-in-law out of my home for purposefully irritating me? So this happened yesterday. My F29 sister F32, let's call her Alice, and her new husband M32, let's call him Sam, came to stay with me for the weekend. Initially I'd only invited them for Friday night game night, but they sort of invited themselves to stay the weekend. It's a little annoying, but they're in the middle of moving to my area from across the country so I can be a little flexible for them. I barely know Sam, only meeting him a handful of times, and he really wants to be like a big brother to me. I live alone and I'm very introverted and neurodivergent, though not officially diagnosed. From the start, they both were just a little overly entitled and disrespectful. First claiming they'd arrive at a certain time, then pushing that time back a couple hours, then not arriving till 2 hours after that. They were 4 hours late from the original plan. There was more as well, but basically I was getting irritated, but was still being a gracious host. Sam started to try to low-key insult me as a form of joking around, calling me a little child, and that no adult listens to the whining of a little child like me, and then calling me boastful when I tried defending myself, which made me feel my patience getting thin with him specifically. I have a sensory issue with forks and knives scraping against bowls and plates, like, it literally is painful for me to the point I have to cover me ears and my whole body flinches. While we were eating, Alice accidentally scraped her knife on the plate and apologized to me. It wasn't too bad. Then when she explained to Sam why she apologized, he took his fork and purposefully ground it against his plate to make that horrible screeching sound while staring right at me with a grin on his face. I instantly told him if he ever did that again in my home, he would be kicked out. They changed their plans right away and left an hour later. Very upset at me for saying that to him. TLDR. BIL purposefully made a horrible noise that hurts me, and I warned him I'd kick him out if he did it again. Aita for warning that I'd kick him out if he did that again. Edit. Just wanted to give a little aftermath. My sister insisted over and over again that I was being dramatic for taking it that far, and when I told her what Sam did was disrespectful, she insisted it wasn't and that he was just playfully teasing to try to get a rise out of me, like siblings are supposed to second edit. I just remembered another incident. I am celiac, and my home is fully gluten-free. I reminded my sister long before their visit, and asked them not to bring any gluten to my home. They brought a wheat-based cereal knowingly into my home, though they brought a bowl and disposable cutlery to minimize the chance of cross-contamination. I'm still upset about this. Stories number 17. My son asked me why I didn't hug him anymore. For context, my son is 14 and I'm his dad. Yesterday I was watching TV on the couch, and he came in and sat beside me. Like right up against me, I asked what was up. He said nothing. A few moments later he says, "I guess I was wondering if maybe I could get a hug." I say, "Sure, why do you ask?" "I was just curious if something was wrong." He says, "I don't know. I guess you never really hug me anymore." I tell him I'm sorry and I give him a hug. We hug for a while. Honestly, it felt a little awkward. I'm not sure why. All in my head, I guess. When we let go, I see a tear. I ask what's wrong. He says nothing. It just felt nice. I'm sorry. I say it's okay. I ask if he wants to sit with me a bit. He says okay. He sits beside me and I put my arm around him and we watch TV in silence. I felt tense at first, but I started to relax a little over time. The next morning I go and give him a hug. He says, "It's okay, you don't have to hug me all the time or anything." I say I want to. He hugs me back. Anyways, I guess I'm a terrible parent, 'cause my own son has to ask me to hug him and act like I care about him, and for some reason, I feel weird hugging my own son. End of rant. Comments. Commenter 1. Did you grow up in a home where you didn't get hugged? Reply, my dad was a fine dad, but he wasn't very affectionate, and we never really hugged when I got older. My mom would though. Commenter 2. He felt comfortable enough to mention it. That's a sign you're doing things right. Keep it up. Commenter 3. It's quite common. They grow up, get less huggy, want more space, etc., and before you know it, you've stopped hugging your kids. We need to normalize hugging in the family. Going to give my 14 and 11 years olds a big hug when I get home now. Commenter 4. As someone who grew up in a hugless home, I remember as a teen literally aching for a hug for so long. I now make sure to hug and cuddle my teens as much as they'll let me because I never want them to feel that terrible feeling of needing to be touched, comforted, loved, and having no one in their life to give it to them. Parents, please hug your kids at every single age. They need it, we need it, everyone needs it. Stories number 18. Aita for refusing to cover my coworker's shift after she lied about why she needed time off. I've worked at my job for almost 3 years now, and I've always been known as the reliable one. I'm the person everyone goes to when they need someone to cover a shift, swap schedules, or help meet deadlines. I don't mind helping, as long as people are honest about it. Last month, my coworker Jenna asked if I could cover 2 of her weekend shifts. She said her grandmother had suddenly fallen ill, and she needed to be with family. Of course, I said yes without thinking twice. I even canceled some personal plans because I didn't want her to stress while dealing with something serious. Well, fast forward to the following week. I open Instagram and guess who's posting stories from a 3-day music festival out of town? Jenna. I thought maybe it was old footage, but the posts were clearly time-stamped, and mutual co-workers commented things like, "You look amazing. So glad you finally made it." When I asked her about it, she first laughed and said, "Oh, you weren't supposed to see that." Then she told me she just really needed a break, and that I wouldn't have agreed if she'd told the truth. I was shocked by how casual she was about lying. I told her I'd help others when I can, but I won't be covering for her again, especially after that. She rolled her eyes and told me to relax because it's not that deep. Now she's telling other coworkers I'm selfish and don't know how to have fun. A few people have hinted that I should just let it go since it's not a big deal, but to me it feels like a major breach of trust. Aita for refusing to ever cover for her again, even if she actually does have a real emergency next time. Comments? Commenter 1 NTA, never cover for her again. I would also never cover again for the coworkers who are telling you to let it go. They are telling on themselves with their attitudes. They have likely taken advantage of you too. Commenter 2 NTA, if she asks again, tell her you already have your own concert tickets. Commenter 3 NTA, she lied to your face. If others agree with her, just tell them to ask her next time they need you switch and quit being so accommodating. It looks like they think nothing of your generosity. Stories number 19. My ex is hiding a baby from me, and I don't know how to handle it. My wife listens to THT every single week, and I find myself getting invested in it too. So when I had this situation, I decided to make a Reddit and seek some advice here. I'll try to be brief, but I've never been great at that. My ex and I were together for over 6 years, and for the last 2 years we had a pretty dead bedroom and a rough relationship. We kinda knew things were over, but we were young and life was super intertwined, so we admittedly dragged it on. Well, she ended up pregnant in the last year of being together. But during the pregnancy we decided we would co-parent, not be together or live together after our daughter was born. That's also when I found out she had been cheating on me for over a year, and that she's bi. And later on, I learned that she went off her birth control without telling me and got pregnant on purpose. I don't really think that has so much to do with this story, but it does give some context, I think. Fast forward. I married my wife, who is the best stepmom and partner I could have asked for. We co-parent 50-50. And our daughter just started school. Last week, I picked my daughter up from school and she told me that her mommy surprised her with a baby sister, but she can't talk about it with me until I know. I was so confused, but didn't want to bring her into my feelings or make her think she did anything wrong. So I just said, "How do you feel about that?" She said that she's cute, and then told me about her day at school. So I dropped it. I see my ex occasionally in person. She never looked pregnant in the last 9 months. Never said a word that would make me think it. Nothing. That night I told my wife and my best friend and his wife about what our daughter said. His wife went on an FBI-level deep dive. She found out that my ex's girlfriend had a baby. I can only guess that this is the baby sister my daughter told me about. I don't know who the dad is, so I've sat with this information for a few days now, and I have no idea how to move forward. I don't know why she wouldn't tell me. I hate that she made my daughter keep a secret from me when as a dad to a daughter it's really important to me, and I try really hard to make her feel like she can tell me anything. My ex and her girlfriend have been super on and off, so I don't want my daughter getting attached to this baby and risking her heart being broken so young if they don't last. If that happens, how am I supposed to tell her that her baby sister isn't actually her sister that she gets to have in her life forever like a sister usually would be? I'm just at a loss and go in waves of being flat out angry that she didn't tell me. But do I have any right to be upset? I don't care what she does with her life, and I know we aren't together. But my daughter is involved and impacted. My wife and I are thinking about trying for another kid soon, and we have talked so much about how to prepare our daughter for a sibling. and explain why she goes to 2 different houses, and her sibling doesn't, including what the age-appropriate "where babies come from" conversation looks like. All of this before we're even trying. Meanwhile, boom, baby sister at mom's house, and we don't know what, if any, conversations were had leading up to it. My wife suggested I call my ex and ask to talk about something our daughter said. I think that's probably the best way to bring it up, but I'd love any more outside opinions that aren't as emotionally driven before I make my decision. Relevant comments. I'm not against her having more kids or anything. I'm an only child and always wanted siblings, so I want that for my daughter no matter what house it's at. I just don't know if she had those conversations, and I'd be concerned if she didn't. I also would have helped reinforce the conversations at our house if I had known. We even have books tucked away that help talk about getting a sibling. I would have pulled those out and read them. The "don't tell dad" is really what has bothered me the most. I think it's wrong to tell your kid to keep a secret from their other parent, together or not. No adult should ask a kid to keep a secret, ever. I don't think I'm the only one. But I want to be one of the many she can go to when she needs to talk about things. I can't do that properly if I don't even know something is happening. When something life-impacting happened to me as a kid in elementary school, my parents would sometimes even warn a teacher so that they knew if I had some behavior changes or big feelings. It might be related to that, and they were prepared to help. And I did go to my teacher because I trusted them. And it's not some far-off possibility that my daughter loves this little girl like a sister. And then boom, she's gone. My daughter has come to me crying because her mom's girlfriend up and left one day. She was upset about her mom being upset, about the GF taking a fish with her that my daughter loved to feed every day, and then a few weeks later she had moved back in. My daughter asked me if my wife was going to just leave one day and not say goodbye to her. So many things can impact kids, and their trusted adults should be there to help them through it or prepare for it. Heck, we have an older dog and we have a book that talks about coping with the fact that we will outlive our dogs. Hopefully, when the day comes that she has to say goodbye, she'll be a little more prepared for it emotionally. My only concern with all of this is my daughter and my ability to be there for her. Small update in comments. I'm trying to be pretty active in the conversation here, but I have gotten a good chunk of private messages as well, pretty much ripping me to shreds and calling me xenophobic and abusive. So I'd like to just touch on a couple of things below, and then I'll probably read comments and not engage anymore as they come in. I think I have a pretty good idea of how I want to move forward with this now. Her being bi and having a girlfriend doesn't bother me. I couldn't care less who she is with as long as they are good for her and our daughter. There are studies that prove the happiness of parents, and more commonly moms, directly impacts how a kid grows up. I have seen my ex go through periods with her girlfriend where the GF will just break it off and leave, and my ex is devastated. My daughter is confused on how someone she has been taught is a parent figure can just walk away, and my ex gets depressed and struggles, and I hate that for both her and my daughter. So it's not the fact that it's a girlfriend. It's how she treats my ex that I take issue with. I want to be happy for my ex having a baby in her family if that's what she wants. But I don't know if she was happy about it. I don't know if they planned it. I don't know how she plans to frame it to my daughter. There's a lot of unknowns from my side. I just wish I could have gotten even a text from her saying, "Hey, GF name is pregnant, and we're really excited. Daughter's name is going to have a sister here." If that were the case, I would get her a baby shower type gift and say congrats. I still have our old crib if you need. My 2 biggest concerns in this are that she asked my daughter to keep a secret from me, and that I don't know when, or if my ex was planning on telling me. If my daughter's behavior changed, and I didn't know it was from a new baby at her mom's house, I might react differently and not in the way that helps her the most, which isn't fair to her. And I don't think an adult should ever ask a kid to keep a secret. End of story. At the end of the day, I have no desire to control my ex. I just want to always put my daughter first. We even agreed in our custody agreement that new partners need to wait a certain amount of time to be introduced to our daughter, and the other parent needs to be aware before it happens. She didn't do this with her girlfriend. I didn't make a huge deal of it. When I introduced my now wife, we had been together for longer than the agreed time, and I told my ex a week before I planned on introducing them, and sent over her FB profile with her permission, just so she had some idea who would be in our daughter's life. I felt like it was the right thing to do. because we're tied together forever now. I would have thought a sibling would have been something to notify if we agreed a new partner is worth a heads up. As far as I know, she had 9 months to give me a quick text. I plan on texting my ex in our co-parenting app and saying something along the lines of, "Daughter's name told me she has a baby sister at your house, but also that she said she couldn't talk about it with us. I'm really happy for you guys, but I'm not okay with her being told to not tell me things. Can we talk about it? Thanks for all the helpful opinions. Still workshopping the message, but no matter I end up with, a conversation is going to happen. Update, my ex is hiding a baby from me and I don't know how to handle it. I had an overwhelming amount of people tell me that my ex's girlfriend having a baby, and them introducing her as a baby sister to my daughter, was none of my business. I disagreed when reading the first few comments but could see the other side. But now that things have developed, I have an update, and I'm not sorry. But you can't change my mind that it was 100% my business. Like I said, I'm not good at being brief and a lot happened. So there will be a TLDR at the end of this, if you'd prefer that. I got a call from the school telling me that there were a few behaviors from my daughter that they'd like to understand, so nothing gets worse. I'm the one that pays for the school, so I'm usually marked as a primary contact. I told them I'd talk to my ex and both come by towards the end of the day. So we go in and sit down with her teacher and a school counselor. Teacher tells us that she has some concerns about behavior from our daughter. That seemed like they're not just getting used to school behaviors. They wanted to check in and see if she needed any extra support or accommodations. Basic overview of the behaviors. She was totally fine with the bathroom the first week. And now she's having sometimes multiple accidents a day. She's been potty trained since 2. She can't sit for a really age-appropriate work time. She's being really mean to friends on the playground that she's known and played with since daycare. She's thrown disruptive fits because her teacher won't carry her. We know it's early in school, and they said this has only been for a couple of days. But the big red flag is that she was in a Montessori-style daycare that she thrived in. And the school we put her in is also Montessori-style, so it's really focused on independence and learning at your own pace. We did open house days and home visits, and the behaviors she's showing are drastically different from what they have seen of her up to now. None of this was said with any judgment, which I appreciated. But they just asked if we had noticed these issues at home or if we were aware of them and wanted to come up with some home and school plans to help understand and correct. And of course, figure out the why if it's not just school and being a kid. I told them honestly that I haven't seen those behaviors at home. But for the last few days, she's been at her mom's, so I'd default to her answer. She looked panicked when it was her turn to talk. She said her behavior is fine, so it's probably just new school and she'll talk to her about it. Now say what you want about me being controlling or whatever, but I was with her for long enough to know her tells when she's uncomfortable, or trying to just move on from a topic. And I don't want to move on from this as her dad. I want to know what's going on and how I can help. The teacher and counselor didn't give up that easy either. They asked very kindly if there were any recent changes outside of school that have happened. I said nothing, and she just sat there until she finally said, "Well, we did introduce a baby sister a few weeks back." She refused to even look at me. Obviously this isn't how I wanted this to go, but oh well. The teachers were a little surprised and I think could tell pretty quick that I didn't know. They said these behaviors are pretty common for adjusting less than great to a new sibling. And then the questions really got started, and I got all the answers I had been craving. All during this, I barely said a word. I'll rapid fire them below. Was baby sister planned? No. Did daughter get to interact with mom's belly at all and learn that there's a baby growing in there? No. She wasn't told the entire pregnancy. Did she get to help with any prep, pick out toys or clothes, set up nursery space? No. What's the custody situation for sister? Is it the same as daughter's? There is no set schedule yet. The baby is biologically the girlfriend's, and her boyfriends didn't know that was a thing, and they don't have a custody plan yet. Was there any discussion between houses on how to handle potential regression? No. That's when the questioning stopped and I said that I was not told about the baby. The room was so quiet after that. The counselor broke the silence and said, "Well, it seems like it's safe to say that some home changes are the root cause of the behaviors we're seeing, and knowing that we can help her a lot better here." She suggested that the two of us sort out a few specific things, and offered the room until it was time for our daughter to go home, and I gladly took her up on it. I tried my best to be calm, and told my ex what our daughter said, and that I was not okay with her having my daughter keep secrets from me. That I don't want her thinking it's ever okay for an adult to ask a kid to keep a secret, especially from their parents. I told her that her relationship is none of my business, but that her girlfriend does not have a track record of making her happy and treating her well. And now there's a boyfriend? Is he around our daughter regularly? And before you come at me, I don't care about relationship dynamic or sexuality or whatever. I care that after she didn't tell me about introducing her girlfriend to our daughter, like we have in our custody agreement. We agreed any new reoccurring adult figure warrants at least just an info text to the other parent, so we can know who our daughter is talking about and around while she's this age. And I wasn't going to comment on her relationship at all, but I was with her for years, and genuinely care about her well-being. Because a happy mom modeling healthy relationships is so important for a little girl. I try to show my daughter the ways I treat her stepmom well, so that's what she knows she deserves from any partner she chooses later. Well, to all of that, all she had to say was, "Her baby is none of your business." I came back with, "If you introduced her as your girlfriend's baby to our daughter, sure. But you're calling her her baby sister, and telling her she can't talk about it with me, and now she's regressing. So you made it my business." Some back and forth later we agreed that she would explain where the baby came from, that she won't be there all the time, and that if she wants to, she can love her like a baby sister. We agreed on a couple books to add into the rotation about siblings and different family dynamics that I ordered right then to both of our houses, and that we'd both reinforce that no grown-up should ever ask a kid to keep a secret. I ended by telling her I'm happy for them if they're happy, and our door is always open if she needs anything. I'm hoping it continues as productive as I feel it ended. Our daughter asked to come home with me even though it's her mom's week, and I said yes. I think my ex was pretty upset over that, and honestly, I probably should have handled that ask differently and will in the future. But right now, I think she deserves some choice and a break from the baby. And my ex has some things to think about, TLDR. My daughter's school called about behavior issues caused by some new baby regression, and my ex had to come clean about it. We talked over how to move forward and best support our daughter on the same page after a bit of a fight. Relevant comments from Oop. I am documenting everything. And I have other examples of small ways my daughter's needs or wants were not respected by her mom. I truly believe none of those were done maliciously, but I documented them nonetheless. I have sent both the teacher and the counselor a message asking to meet privately with me today to get a written statement about her behavior and the conversation between all of us. I also got them both a small thank you for being so on top of her behavior, because I know there are teachers that would have dismissed it, or let it go far too long. My daughter has a therapist. I spent about a year finding a really great family therapist shortly after she was born, and she started going twice a year around 3 years old. I usually schedule it around the same time as dentist appointments or physicals and tell her it's her mental health checkup. I want it to feel like just as much of a priority and just as normal as taking care of her physical health. I called her therapist and she's squeezing us in this week. On top of all those measures, I'm meeting with my lawyer to see what options I have, if any, about adjusting custody. I live in a pretty progressive state and county, so frankly I had a concern that I'd be seen as homophobic or not be considered because I'm taking issue with the potential non-monogamous situation. And I don't even know if that's what's happening honestly, or if my ex is just flat out getting cheated on. There are so many unknowns. But I'll take the indisputable proof I have and see if anything comes of it. There is proof she violated our current agreement on more than one occasion, and I have that documented. I'm thinking I want to ask for temporary full physical custody while my ex gets her shit figured out. I want my daughter to have a say in this to some extent, but my priority will be protecting her. Thanks for the advice and care, everyone. Final update. My ex is hiding a baby from me and I don't know how to handle it. One final update, just because things happened I didn't expect. I didn't expect any of this, but I didn't think there'd be yet another twist. My daughter came to stay with us the night we were called to the school about her behavior. She asked if she could stay with us longer, and after calling my lawyer to make sure that wouldn't make things worse, I texted my ex so it was on record and told her that our daughter really needed some time solo and to work up to being around a baby sister the way it should have been in the start. She protested at first, but agreed that she would stay with us as long as we made a plan to get back to our regular schedule. So we were talking with the therapist to come up with a plan. When I emailed her a full outline of what we were thinking to agree on, she showed up at our house and demanded that our daughter come home with her, that she didn't need some therapist, she needed her mom. She was literally yelling at the door and I could hear my daughter crying in our room with my wife trying to calm her down. Then my wife came out and I have never seen her look the way she did. in the most restrained, calm voice. My wife went in on her, never raising her voice. She explained how selfish what she did was. And there's nothing but biology making her a mom at this moment. She's not protecting her. She's not loving her the way she thinks she is. She's not some feminist icon. She acting like a child yet still can't see the damage she's doing to her own child. So either accept the plan in place by the parents and professionals actually looking out for our daughter, get her act together and go say goodbye to her and apologize, and that things will be a little different. Or sue us. My ex has never ever been so quiet in the entire time I knew her. They stood silently, and then my ex walked in and did exactly as my wife said. I fell in love with my wife all over again, and watching her so fiercely protect our daughter, I was reminded of how perfect she is, so I thought we had a relatively happy ending. We were operating according to our plan, and I get a call from my ex's sister telling me that her girlfriend walked out with the baby, is staying with the dad, and has given the ultimatum of they're an all-or-nothing family. Her family is encouraging her to check into a mental health program, and if things get any worse than they are right now, they're considering involuntarily admitting her. Her sister is coming over to visit and help us explain some things to our daughter so she doesn't feel totally cut off from that side. I don't wish my ex any ill will and truly hope she can get it together for our daughter. Until then, we're doing the best we can. This went way further than my not knowing how to handle some new info. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You and your wife are doing an amazing job being an advocate for your daughter. Never ever lose sight of that. Even when things are hard. At the end of this update, my concerns are shooting to one place. Your ex has temporarily lost her daughter, is being coerced into a bad situation by her girlfriend, and it is now all alone. This creates a huge risk for suicide. I am glad her sister is going there to help. But your ex needs some close monitoring and likely an evaluation. You don't want your daughter to have to face losing her mother, no matter how dysfunctional that house might be. You're a good man. Work with your ex-sil to make sure your ex is safe during this difficult transition. Reply. Honestly, we already cleared out the MIL suite we have above the garage if it comes to it. Do I want my ex living with me? Absolutely fucking not. But I want my daughter's mom to get what she needs. And if it's to be around her daughter and away from her situation, it's something we can help with. Commenter 2. You're a good man. Never lose that part of yourself. Hoping all the best you, your wife and daughter. And your ex as well. Reply, I have to give her credit. I walked in on my wife and daughter making the bed in the suite and bringing some dishes in there. She didn't tell my daughter why, just that we didn't clean it after Grandma stayed last. But I knew we did, and she later told me that she wanted it ready just in case my ex needed it. So that was all her idea. And she knew I'd be on board if it was the right call. She and my daughter are what have made me a good man. Commenter 3. What does an all-or-nothing family mean? Reply. From what I now understand, my ex's girlfriend meant that either my ex be all in on raising this new baby with her and go back to the usual custody with my daughter, or she's leaving because she doesn't want her baby raised in a broken family. Commenter 4. I think it means that they have custody of both the kids or she's leaving. Ops' ex's wife started all of this by wanting full custody and wanting to adopt Ops' child. Reply. Not my ex-wife. We were never married. And she never said she wanted full custody. And she's the biological mom to my daughter, so need for adoption. Commenter 5. Your ex is harming your child with her behavior. Your responsibility is to your child, not your ex who got caught up in a throuple. Reply. That's true. But I'm also thinking of her long-term well-being. She's not 1 or 2, and wouldn't remember if her mom was out of the picture. And if down the line her mom comes back in the picture, well, that's also jarring to her. Having a healthy and present mom would be ideal, and if we can help get her there, that is the best thing I can do for my daughter. Then she also can know that her mom loved her so much that she faced a really tough time in her life. Commenter 1. I hope you did not at all question your child yourself, but did indeed and immediately get a trained specialist to look into potential sexual assault, given some of her specific behaviors. I was really hoping for an update on that. Not baby mama drama. I hope your baby is okay, and I hope you go about such assurances in the correct, least traumatic way. Reply. This isn't baby mama drama. This is the mother of my child in what we think is an abusive relationship. So as much as I hate what she did and disagree with a lot of her choices, don't villainize her, especially as a stranger with only the information I have given. I have experience in working with kids who have faced childhood SA. So yeah, I did ask my daughter some questions, very carefully, and it was because she opens up to me. And if you read everything, You'd see that I also took her to a therapist and got her guidance as well. And that therapist, who I spent over a year picking, also brought in a colleague with more essay experience than her to ensure we ruled it out. OP replied to a deleted comment. I never said anything about her bottom hurting, and the potty training regression can happen with a new baby being introduced, especially without any prep, which my ex didn't give her a chance to have. Therapist, teachers, and myself don't have any concern for SA in this case, based on answers she's given us and other factors. It's something I've always kept a close eye out for. I have work experience in a field that deals with a lot of child unfortunately, so when I had a kid it was one of my biggest concerns, and I've always been pretty on guard for signs. I actually know who my ex's girlfriend's boyfriend, that sentence is wild, is through mutual connections, and did some asking around. He doesn't seem like a bad guy and has a good reputation, and most people were also confused on how he ended up in this possible throuple web thing. I have a feeling the mastermind behind most of the emotional manipulation is the girlfriend. Stories number 20. Aita for telling my BF I'd rather be alone and suffer in my apartment than go with him to visit his mom. So I 23M hate my BFS 24-mid family with a passion. I can't stand them. They are the most condescending, judgmental Oz I've ever had the displeasure of knowing. It all started when I first met them. They talked about my looks and how I could improve it by losing weight, cutting my hair, and stop eating like a pig. I'm 118 mm tall and 80 kilo. I go to the gym a lot, and I would consider myself fit. They have shit on my job because they think I'm not good enough to be a doctor, and I work too much. His mother is the one that says all of this, and the rest agree with her. It has gotten to the point where I'm dreading every birthday, Christmas, or any other celebration because I have to see them again. My BF have told them to stop, but they always say that I'm too sensitive and need to relax. Last time I meet them, they told my boss that he should dump me and find a man that's better for him. I was sitting next to him when it happened. So his mom got into an accident and had to go to the hospital I'm working at, and my boyfriend told me to help her and make sure she gets the best care. I told my coworkers, and they assured me that I can't be on her case, and that I wouldn't need to be near her at all. My BF and his family begged me that I should visit her and make sure she is okay on my break, and I refused. I said I'd rather be alone in my apartment and suffer than to visit his mom with him or without him. I can't FKN stand that woman. He and his family has been messaging me non-stop, telling me I'm a bad doctor for not wanting to help a patient. But the thing is, she's not my patient, so Aita, edit. In Sweden it's 5 years of med school. Then you become an intern, I think it's called in the US. After you are done with that, you can specialize in whatever field you like. I'm working in a surgical hospital, and I started my studies half a year before I turned 17. Update 1. Aita for telling my boyfriend that I'd rather be alone and suffer in my apartment than go with him to visit his mom. So I thought I would give you guys an update, but before that, tie all for the kind words and support. His mom was fine. She was not in any danger at all. My colleagues told me how much shit she talked about me and how much better he could do than some wannabe doctor. I was fuming. She and her family had been begging me to visit her, and she was still talking shit about me. So I went to her room demanding to know what her problem was. Well, she didn't like me because I'm, in her words, too masculine to be with her son, and he needs to find someone that's not. I told my BF, and he was mad at first, but kinda agreed with her and told me it wouldn't hurt me to try being less mask. All I said was that if he's trying to make me change who I am, then there is no reason to be with me anymore. He told me that that's not what he wanted, and that he loves me. So I told him, like so many of you did, that if he wants me, then he needs to go LC with her, and I'm going to go full NC. He told me that it's not fair and I was being unreasonable. I had made my choice though, and in the end we broke up. To be honest, I'm not even heartbroken. I have my job, good friends, and a family that loves me. I have gotten texts from him telling me he misses me, but I have just ignored them. In the end, I'm happy, I think, and it's for the better. Edit. I just want to say, once again, Ty, to be honest, it's good to hear from strangers that I'm not overreacting. Not a coward that's running away when things get hard. I really loved him, but the dude has big mommy issues. And BC of his mom, I realized that I can't deal with a guy that can't put me first. I'm already working my ass off and I can't be bothered to feel like shit after work. Update 2. I broke up with my ex 3 months ago because of his mother. He is now willing to go no contact with her now and wants me back. Nov 27, 2022. 3 months after first update. This dude's family has treated me like shit. I was never good enough. I was in their eyes a wannabe doctor that shouldn't be one, and they felt sorry for my patients. They wanted me to be less masculine because they wanted my ex to be the man. I told him that if he wanted me in his life, he needed to go LC with her and accept that I would go full NC with her. He didn't want that, and we broke up. He showed up at the hospital I work at, waited for me to get off my shift when we were together. He got my schedule so we could see each other and wanted to talk. He told me he missed me and that his mother realized that it would be good to have a doctor in the family and that my BF was an idiot to break up with me. He told me that he was done with her shit and that we should be together again. Honestly, I was too tired. I worked a 15-hour shift and was planning a nice date with my bed. I didn't think I missed him because of the shit he put me through, but I don't care. I don't want it to go back to how it was, and I have had hate in my heart for him since we broke up. I don't care where I'm going with this, to be honest. I was going to sleep, but this has been on my mind since I got home. Just had to get it of edit. I am a man update 3. I broke up with my ex 3 months ago because of his mother. He is now willing to go no contact with her, and wants me back Dec 1, 2022. 4 days after last update edit. Can't change the title, so yeah, that's fun. So before my actual update, I want to clarify some things. His mother is a nightmare to be near. She has talked shit about me in front of me, made fun of my appearance, telling me to stop eating like a pig, and that no one wants a pig in the family. Has told my ex that he could find someone better than some wannabe doctor and stuff like that. I will never ever let someone talk to me like that, and that's why I wanted him to be LC and me NC. So here is the actual update. I talked to him yesterday. I asked him if I was really willing to go NC with her, and he changed the subject time and time again. I told him why he told me what his mother said about me being the doctor in the family, and he couldn't answer that either. I told him to leave and that we would continue that conversation tomorrow today. I saw him after work today. I got off at 1 and saw him at 3. I told him if he couldn't answer any of my questions honestly, then it wasn't even worth trying. So he told me what I believe was half of the truth. He said that he regretted everything, but his mother was right, should have ended it there. I can't be the one that act as the man between us, and it undermines him. He told me that he can't go full NC with her because that's his mother. He told me that I was childish for breaking up with him over some comments she made, and told me that it won't happen again, and that he won't let it happen. I asked him why he came back only after his mother told him that it would be good to have a doctor in the family even though she didn't think I was a good one. He only said it's true and it's good to have one. At that point I was fed up, I'm tired. I work long hours and coming back to that headache was not worth it. I told him that I am a man, and that he is one too. Told him that's not how a relationship works between two men, and that he will always be a mama's boy. I will not tolerate being talked down to, or feel belittled over their internalized homophobia. I told him that any man-woman that he might date or wants to date him can go through with that problem. But it won't be me. He begged and told me that it would make him happy if we tried and that his mother could change. No, just no. I want to be with someone that loves me for me and won't let their mother's hate make me feel like a failure and a bad person. I'm not dating their mother. I told him to not bother contacting me again, and that I'm officially done with him now and forever. Thank you to all of you. You guys gave good advice and made things clearer. And I hope all of you achieve great things in life. Update 4, X-Mill strikes again. My former BF and I broke up because of his mother, and I haven't heard from him for a couple of months, thank God. His mother came to my door demanding that I take him back as he is blaming her for breaking us up, and that he barely talks to her nowadays. She demanded I take him back as she wants him to start talking to her again. I bursted out laughing in her face for about 4 minutes, and I couldn't stop, which made her even more angry. I closed the door in her face and got ready to go to work. This woman followed me to work, and again demanded I take her son back, and I just continued laughing in her face. In the end, I told her to fuck off and that she made her bed and she can rot in it. She looked stunned as I don't usually talk back to her because I didn't want to upset my ex. I told her if she continued to harass me, I would go to the police. She seemed to back off after that threat. Good riddance. Update 5. X-Mill strikes again, July 27, 2023. 24 days after last update, 1 year after saga started. So the devil has shown herself again, but this time with her son. To be honest, completely honest, I'm still laughing my ass off. My ex and X-Mill showed up today. My ex told me that his mother said that I'm willing to take him back, and that we could finally live a good life together again. IFKN lost it. I laughed at both of them. Told them both that they were delusional to think I would even consider having any type of relationship with either of them. I told my ex that his mother lied, and that he knew why I would never in a million years take him back. He looked at his mom and yelled at her, and I just looked at her with a smirk on my face. His mother then started yelling homophobic shit like, "This would never have happened if you just stopped acting like a man." And I lost it laughing again. Ex-Mill even tried to attack me, but luckily for her, his son held her back and they left. I later got a call from a mutual friend that said my ex would make sure his mom wouldn't bother me anymore. I have him blocked. All in all, I'm happy, and this has been so fun. Hope they both live miserable lives together. Stories number 21. Aita for quietly packing my stuff and leaving my family's house without telling anyone after my dad threatened to kick me out. I 23F live at home. I am in school and work part-time plus intern at an office. I graduate in June, and I've been applying to jobs as much as I can, so I can finally move out. My sister 20F also lives at home but is doing school online and doesn't work. I try to help with chores around the house as much as possible. Although it's difficult since I leave the house early in the morning and come home late at night. Last week I came home and there were clean dishes in the dishwasher. I said I'm gonna take a quick shower, then empty the dishwasher, and my dad went on a rant about how I never help around the house, and that my sister is always the one doing everything. I explained that I do help, and that just because they haven't seen me help doesn't mean that I don't. He asked me to give him an example, and I told him that I took the garbage out the night before. The conversation escalated to him saying that I should not argue any longer because he can easily make me homeless if he wanted to. I said okay and went upstairs. The next morning, while everyone was still asleep, I packed my things and left, and I've been sleeping in my car for a week later. In the day after I left, my parents called and my mom texted me asking where I am when I didn't come home when I was supposed to. I didn't reply and blocked my entire family's numbers and social medias and haven't spoken to them since. They have been calling and texting my friends, asking them where I am. I haven't told any of my friends that I'm sleeping in my car, so I got very confused texts from friends asking me what's going on, and why my parents are asking where I am, and if I'm safe and okay. I told my closest friend that I left home, and that I'm safe, and let her know to tell my parents that I'm fine. But I have no desire to speak to them anymore. They've been begging my friend to disclose my location and asking her to ask me to allow them to speak to me. I went to my friend's yesterday and she told me that what I did was awful and that I should speak to them. I told her that they threatened to make me homeless, so I left by my own volition. But she's insisting that making them worry about my safety is a horrible thing to do. But I honestly think I just gave them what they asked for. They wanted to get rid of me, so I left. Aita for leaving and refusing to communicate with them. Relevant comments, commenter 1 towards your NTA. Sounds like you are majorly stressed out, and having someone scream at you in a place that is supposed to be a calm, safe environment is just not helpful at all. I am guessing your mom doesn't know what happened. I would at least tell her, reply. No, she was there when this happened, and she was on my dad's side. He was the one mainly throwing the insults, but she chimed in a few times as well and had a lot to say. Commenter 2 info, I get your dad, but why are you going NC with your mom and sister? Reply, I'm not close with my sister, and we pretty much never speak to each other, unless we absolutely have to, and my mom was also there while this incident happened. Commenter 3 info, we genuinely do not have enough information to judge here. OP has not provided enough backstory for us to be able to tell whether this is the final chapter in a long history of abuse by their parents, or if this is a histrionic overreaction on their part. This is a post that's guaranteed to drum up a mountain of support for an iffy choice on their part. And I'm concerned that commenters, in their rush to support someone who has apparently been treated very poorly by their parents, are rushing to defend what could easily be a dangerous and unnecessarily rash decision. I am concerned that there may be more going on with OP than they have shared, or are aware. The spur-of-the-moment decision to move out secretly, overnight into an unsuitable living situation in order to punish their parents for a relatively small issue makes me worried that there is an underlying instability that places OP at increased risk. And yes, this was a small issue. Even in OP's telling, the threat sounds more like annoying bluster than an actual threat to make them homeless. Clearly OP's father was wrong and is majorly TA. Reply, they've done this many times before. When I was 16, I had an argument with my mom because she went through my phone, and then my mom told my dad that she can't live with me in the same house and that it's either her or I in the house, so I ended up getting kicked out and I stayed with a friend for a week until she came and picked me up and apologized and said they'd never kick me out again, which wasn't true because it's the one threat that gets made anytime something happens. Commenter 4. NTA, but maybe talk to your local PD and let them know that if your parents try to file a missing persons report, it's a waste of time, because you're not missing. They threatened to kick you out for not helping, so you left. Sounds like a win-win to me. Can you talk to any of your friends about staying with them while you get things together? Commenter 5, she's 23, she's allowed to leave home and go no contact. Commenter 6 NTA, as someone who was made homeless by their parents, I went no contact the moment I left and didn't get back in touch till my father apologized. Never moved back even though he thought I would, and made a new life. You don't owe them an explanation when they threaten your life. But also don't make your friend play middleman update, AITA, for quietly packing my stuff and leaving my family's house without telling anyone after my dad threatened to kick me out. I want to say thank you to everyone who commented and PM'd me with advice after my first post almost 2 months ago. I received a lot of helpful advice that I took into consideration when planning what to do next. A week after my post, I ended up moving in with a friend who was kind enough to let me stay and pay a very small amount in rent in return. I also ended up talking to my parents, and my dad apologized for his behavior and promised to never make a threat like that again, which honestly came as a shock to me. But I'm glad things got resolved between us. I let them know that I am staying with a friend and paying a small amount in rent in the meantime, and that I am in the process of finding an apartment, and they suggested that I move back in with them for free until I find a job and a place, so I took their offer and moved back home and haven't had issues with them since moving back. I finished grad school and completed my internship, and 2 weeks ago I landed a full-time job in my field. I also found an apartment that's only a 5-minute walk from my job. I start the job next week, and I move into my new place 2 weeks from now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm always so happy when I hear a good ending. I wish you all the happiness in the world. Commenter 2, as a longtime lurker, I'm used to seeing these toxic family posts where the OP is forced to go LC or NC, and the a-hole party refuses to apologize and doubles down, so it's nice to see a healthy resolution to a domestic conflict, where the AH admits their fault and relationships can begin to mend. Not every conflict will end as amicably. Plus, it's great to hear of the success OP's had in her career and living arrangements. Commenter 3, I read your previous post and realized just how often Indian parents say this to their kids without actually meaning any of it. What they don't realize is that it affects the self-esteem of children heavily. It's such a toxic dynamic that has been so normalized that they don't even realize that they're saying something so detrimental to their child's mental health. Commenter 4, Eastern Euro parents as well. Yes, our cultures preach resilience, but it is tough when so much of the self-esteem trauma comes from those you are supposed to feel safest with and spend most time with as a youth at least. Commenter 5, yay, congrats, and your dad did the right thing. Taking responsibility and apologizing is an excellent way to move forward. I hope you continue to strengthen your relationship and maintain firm and healthy boundaries. Commenter 6, happy to see things worked out for you, OP. I'm glad your dad apologized and that you're on your own 2 feet. Stories number 22. Aita for asking my husband to stop hunting predators and actually parent his own kids. Hi Reddit, would appreciate advice. For context, I'm 31 female. Married to my husband 34 male, and we have 2 kids. A aged 4 and B aged 2, not actually their names. About a year ago, my husband got really into these online vigilante groups that catch child predators. This, and videos from YouTubers like Alma. At first, I genuinely didn't think much of it. Initially, he would only watch PPL do these sting operations and whatnot, but since about a year ago, he actually began engaging with these groups and carrying out, being a part of these operations. He said he was just helping the community by messaging predators as decoys and confronting them and reporting people to the police. This went from an occasional thing to something that happens a few times a week now. He goes out at night to meet up with these guys from Facebook groups. They set up fake sting operations and film confrontations for YouTube. I've told him multiple times that this seems dangerous, but he says he's doing God's work, feels a pull towards this work, and says he's protecting kids, which, by the way, I have nothing against, and I do agree that his work is impactful. Issue is he works full-time, so by the time he's done catching predators and sleeping off late nights, I'm the one doing everything while working full-time as well. I mean meals, baths, daycare drop-offs, laundry, housework, and all of it. Because I was growing frustrated and building up resentment I really didn't want to feel. I tried to talk to him about it calmly. Told him I appreciate that he wants to do good, but that right now his actual children need him more as he barely spends time with them outside of weekends. My husband isn't confrontational and often goes quiet when I do confront him. So he was quiet for a long while, and this made me feel very guilty. Eventually, he said that he did understand my point, but that he was doing his best, and that I didn't try to understand or support his mission. I do regret saying this then. But I was admittedly frustrated, and asked if his mission included changing diapers, or cleaning up vomit at 2 a.m. sarcastically. After, he stormed out too and didn't come home until after midnight. In full truth, I feel like a single mom sometimes whose husband is off living out some vigilante fantasy. Some of his friends who are also in these groups are saying I'm unsupportive and trying to control him. Even my mother-in-law said that I was being irrational and that at least he was doing something meaningful. But honestly, is being a present father not meaningful enough? I'm truly not trying to stop him from helping people. I just want balance, for him to do whatever he likes, but to also be a father. I didn't even factor in this post how neglected I feel as a partner, but I feel like him being a father to our children is more important than that, so there's that. Please be kind but honest, and let me know what I should even feel about this. Stories number 23. So yesterday I was at the supermarket in self-checkout. Next to me was a service dog and its owner. As I was checking out the dog but my leg for no apparent reason, I did not try to touch or even look at the dog. Luckily, there was an officer there to start a case. I exchanged info with the owner so they could share the vaccine records with me. They could not provide the officer and proof the dog was a service dog. And not to be judgy, but it was a pit bull. I don't think that breed can be a service dog. Even the officer wasn't too sure but couldn't press it, so to the law, I guess, saying you have to take them at their word. Fast forward to today. I still haven't received any vaccine info for the dog, so I am in the ER to get a series of rabies vaccines to make sure I'm okay. I have insurance, but still have co-pays and would imagine I incur other health fees to close the loop on this. Should I now let the police know I want to press charges? 1. To be compensated for any fees incurred, and 2. Make sure this person isn't bringing a potentially dangerous animal in public settings going forward. I do not want anything to happen to the dog. I just don't want others to potentially be out at risk if this person is faking a service dog to bring it into public setting. Any advice would be appreciated. Stories number 24. My boyfriend destroyed my deceased grandmother's jewelry box, and I think I deserved it. My boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. There have been a few times when he's blown up on me over the smallest things. Usually he gets angry and makes it everyone in the house's problem. When I finally stood up for myself, he hurt me in one of the most painful ways possible. I don't know if I should forgive him or if the blame is on me. My grandmother died of lung cancer when I was 12. She was the toughest and most hilarious little old lady, and I miss her every day. Everything my grandmother intended to give us after she passed was taken by one of her sisters before we could get to her house. By the time my mom was finally able to get there, very little remained. Among the few items left was a beautiful white jewelry box that could sit on a counter. My mother gave it to me after seeing how drawn I was to it. That jewelry box was the only thing I had left of my grandmother. When I moved out of state to live with my dad as a teenager, it was one of the few things I refused to leave behind. A couple of days ago, I wanted to get my hair done but was indecisive, so I asked my boyfriend what he thought. I gave him a couple of color choices I was considering, jet black or a random shade of red. He told me he preferred black over red. I took his thoughts into consideration, but ultimately decided to go with the red. As soon as he saw me earlier today after my appointment, he was furious, saying I never listened to him, and that he was so repulsed by me. He couldn't even sleep with me until I changed it. He called me several expletives. I decided to go lie down and rest before my shift that night. Ignoring him didn't diffuse the situation at all. He started grabbing everything that was mine from our shared bedroom and throwing it down the hallway. He kept saying I was in the way and told me to get up and sleep on the couch. He's done this several times before, and every time he waits until I break down and apologize before I'm allowed to move my things back into our room. This can last anywhere from a few hours to a few weeks. However long it lasts, he makes sure my life is a living hell the entire time, yelling at me, belittling me, and telling me what a terrible person I am. This time, I was over it. I was too exhausted to play his game, so I just lay in bed, trying to drown out the vile things spewing from his mouth. When he saw he wasn't getting a reaction, he started breaking things and tearing up my drawings before destroying each item. He kept saying all I had to do was get my things out of his room and get my ugly ass out. When I still refused, he grabbed my jewelry box and held it over his head. As soon as I realized what he was about to do, I became frantic. I started sobbing and begging him to stop. I was so loud that his mom heard me from her bedroom on the other side of the house and came to see what was going on. She tried to reason with him, but he was enraged. He just kept shouting, "Get the fuck out now!" After about 30 seconds of chaos, he slammed my jewelry box onto the floor. I was speechless. I began to sob, but no sound came out. His mom looked at me and told me to go sleep in her room and lock the door. As soon as I left, I heard her unleashing on him. I am positive I heard her slap him, hard. I just took my blanket and did as I was told. Eventually I managed to fall asleep when I woke up. Both my boyfriend and his mom were gone. I didn't have time to question it because I had to go to work. I'm currently on my lunch break and still haven't heard from either of them. I guess I'll have to figure out what's going on when I get off tomorrow morning. I think it might be my fault he broke it, because all I had to do was get out of the room. My stubbornness destroyed one of my most treasured possessions. I feel like an idiot, and I don't even know if there's a way to repair it. I'm just so heartbroken. And I needed to vent. Stories number 25. How do I 27F tell my husband 30M that I am done having kids because he won't treat me better during pregnancy? TLDR. I want my husband to treat me better when I'm pregnant, but he says he tried his best. I decided I won't have any more kids because of this, and I want help on how to tell him this. I don't know if I'm being unrealistic in my expectations of my husband. He wants a big family, and I thought I would like one more for a total of 3 kids. I only have 2 kids, but our marriage almost fell apart during my last pregnancy. I'm 4 months post-birth with my second kid. I was really close to leaving him. As in, my bags were packed and in my car, and I drove away with our toddler. Our issues are mostly due to chores and household responsibilities. We eventually worked through those issues, which honestly means I swept them under the rug for the sake of our family, and he started contributing a little more to our household, but I'm super bitter about how miserable both of my pregnancies have been. I do all of the cooking, most of the cleaning. He's never gotten up with babies at night, but does for the toddler. He's very rarely washed a bottle and never washed a pump. I try not to dwell on those things, but lately he's talked about having another kid one day. He does not want that to be soon. I mentioned that if I were to be pregnant again, I want him to be nice to me and not to have to do so much. His response was that I said that last time too, and I said I did, but this time I mean it. I don't want to be pregnant again if literally none of my responsibilities go away, and I'm just pregnant on top of them. He responded that he tried his best during my last pregnancy, and then gave me a cold shoulder and went to bed. Obviously, we have some unresolved issues there, but quite frankly, if the way he treated my last pregnancy is his best, I am done having his kids. Our marriage wouldn't survive another pregnancy like the last one. He changes literally 0 things about his life during pregnancies. Like if he were to do literally anything nice for me or to take anything off my back at all at any point in the 9 months. Or allow me to have 15 more minutes a day to myself so I could take a bath. But apparently at his best, he isn't capable of that, and I want to be treated better when I'm carrying babies, so I've been thinking about it since he made the comment and decided that I am okay being done and I'm not having any more kids. I know he will be devastated, and I don't want him to feel like I am manipulating him by telling him I won't have more kids because he isn't going to treat me better. How do I bring this up to him? We do not have marriage therapies available, so have to work through this on our own. Stories number 26. I reported my mom to CPS during her divorce, and now she might lose custody. I, 15F, lived with my parents and siblings, 12F and 6M, until a week ago. When my dad officially moved into a new house, he moved out about 2 weeks ago. My mom and dad both work full-time jobs. My mom privately told me she was divorcing my dad in July the night after she told him. She told me that she was deciding to file for divorce because my dad was verbally abusive, and if she wasn't with him anymore, she would be a better mom. She then clarified that she's been using unhealthy coping mechanisms, and leaving my dad would help them go away. The thing is, I'm pretty sure she is an alcoholic. Almost every 2 to 3 days on vacation she gets drunk, and around 2 days a week not on vacation takes out her anger on my siblings and me. While she's never been physically abusive when intoxicated, she would yell, make accusations, and refuse to do parental duties like making us food, putting my brother in bed, cleaning the house, or just being nice. My dad helps with these things when needed. But my mom gets mad when he does because he's making her feel bad. She has had this problem for over 10 years now. Since the divorce was announced to the rest of the family, my mom has let loose a lot more. She goes out with friends, mainly Ella and Britt, invites them over, and always comes back or ends up drunk. This is now every weekend and some weekdays, and she still drinks during the week, just not as heavily. Now recently, she has been involving my siblings and I late July. We went out as a family for dinner, and she got so wasted that I had to drive home my mother and grandparents, while my dad drove my siblings home separately. My mom climbed out of her seat and grabbed the wheel several times, driving us into oncoming traffic and almost causing an accident. She yelled at me for being a disrespectful bitch and that I'm such a little shit for taking her car, and acting entitled for not letting her drive when she made me pull over. She also damaged the side of my car another time. This is just one example. I have my permit, so it is normally fine to drive as long as a sober adult is in the passenger seat. So to the actual recent story, which happened about 2 weeks ago. My mom invited Ella and her kids 9F and 6M and Britt over while my dad and sister were gone. They each drank at least 1 glass of wine and several wine bottles were on the table. Then my mom said we should go get dinner and I offered to drive. My logic for driving is this. If my mom drives her car there, then she will want to drive home even if intoxicated, and I won't be able to stop her. If I drive, she will expect me to drive home and won't push to drive herself. I know it's not perfect because it doesn't hold her accountable and lets her have a DD, but I'd rather that than get in an accident. So we get there. She drinks a lot more. Meanwhile, I have to sit in a table separate from the adults and watch Ella's kids and my brother. Ella's son, who is my brother's friend, was acting out of control, pulling his pants down and making his sister and my brother look, thrusting into my brother's back and yelling at me. His mom did nothing about this. The sister cried and felt scared about how he was being, and her mom just waved her off. After 2 hours of this hell and 30 minutes after the restaurant closed, my mom got the check and I was able to grab my brother and get to the car. Mom and Britt staggered to the car and Ella and her kids went home separately. I drove us home as my mom yelled and criticized me. We got home and my mom and Britt immediately went into Mom's room and shut the door. I bathed my brother, and he had to sleep in my bed as he had no sheets on his bed. I went to my dad's house the next day because I couldn't look at my mom. Day after that, I went to therapy. My therapist, who told me it was illegal to drive without a sober adult, and that it was reckless endangerment, and can be classified as neglect. She told me as a mandatory reporter she had to tell someone. 2 days later, someone from CPS pulled me out of class and took a statement about what happened. She told me they would likely put in place a weekly alcohol test or put her in rehab. This is where I'm worried I'm in the wrong. They asked if I thought family therapy would work, and I said no way. We did it before and it didn't change anything. I told them how many times my mom promised she would never put me in that position again, but did anyway, and cried about how it's like she's not even the same person. I had to make her understand that this is a big problem. I live in USA and I know the system often doesn't work well. That day my mom picked me up and the way home she confronted me about reporting her as she got a phone call. She was calm but visibly fuming. She told me, "I never want you to be in that position and I'm sorry. But I also don't want to lose my kids, do you understand me?" She said many other things that made me doubt if she even had a problem at all. So, with the authorities involved, I'm sure something is going to happen. But I'm also worried that with my parents' divorce still not finalized and my parents living separately now, and my mom's allegations of verbal abuse about my dad, I'm worried something very bad will happen. What do I do? Am I wrong for not lying to the CPS person? Should I have not told my therapist? My mom promised it won't happen again, but I just don't believe her.